Here we go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Give thanks and praise, everybody. Oh my goodness, it has been an adventure thus far. I'm actually sweating.
I'm sharing this one out now. It'll be like the third one I've shared, but it's all good.
Okay, well, I am still viewing through StreamYard, which...
There we go. You're good on YouTube.
I'm good on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm you know, when they told me I had ADD, I thought I was going to be like the multitasking master of the future, and that is not the case. I think we passed that on to the younger generation because
like what do they call them? Autists. Like I know Musk calls himself he's an autist, like instead of an artist.
Totally. Yeah. So yeah, big respect, everybody. Let me see if I can turn on so I can at least see the chat and if anybody's with us. But man, we have a lot of weaves we've been digging on for a couple weeks now. It's going to be hard to keep track of everything. I'm glad we can kind of scan back through the telly, you know,
I know.
and track
it's much it's much needed sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, I see the comments. Oh yeah, because I'm not full screen. Once you go full screen, the StreamYard just like you don't see anything anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like flying solo, and it's so metaphorical and spiritual, like all the ways you can explain it. But it's parallel dimension, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's bizarre.
Oh, there we go. And it's kind of both anding as well. You know what I mean? We're both anding in real time. We're both anding. Yeah. The whole thing about the multiverse is it's fascinating how it seems futuristic, but when you just plead the case, it's already here. It's already here, the multiverse.
At least a form of it, yeah. I mean, the form Steiner always warned about, the eighth sphere is, I mean, he said it was always here, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely here.
I always kind of oversimplify multiverse theory with humans generating lies, and the lies make the walls of the maze that appears to be a multi-layered reality. But yeah, it's like we fabricate the divide with falsification, self-delusion, all the things, all the vices become some walls that you don't see, you know, and other people do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because like the digital twin will basically be just creating like every single multiverse version of yourself as we go, because they're going to be running simulations and
it's so wild. Today I had the realization that the word blood has some anagram for double. Your blood is like your double. But that whole divine twin is also your internal, you know, the internal self that they presume to know better than you.
Well, the whole doppelganger thing is also plays into that. And I know there's like been a lot of confusion over what the doppelganger originally meant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it necessarily was supposed to be evil at first.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even remember now what I had read about it recently, but it became like an evil apparition like later on in stories, but originally it wasn't supposed to be that.
You know, and that is kind of always the drive, is to see like what is the oldest or the origin or even, you know, different branches of the same idea. I was thinking about the golem today. Somebody said that the golem's name consists of two words, I think truth and lie, or yeah, I think it's truth and lies, or good and bad. And I was thinking about how, you know, in a way, dichotomous thinking is its own form of a collective golem mentality. Have you ever seen Golem, the original?
The is that like a spin-off?
It's a from the 40s.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
It's from the time period right around Metropolis. Have you seen Metropolis?
I've heard of Metropolis, but I haven't heard of Golem, or I've seen like pieces of Metropolis.
Yeah, I think Golem is earlier. Some people out there are like, it's like 20 years earlier. It's very low tech, extremely low tech, but
wait, is that the one where the guy is making? He's basically making the golem in like a cave or something like that. A very Frankenstein-esque in the ghetto.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay, I've seen like clips of it. It might have been aired on like one of the YouTube channels. Like who's that channel that the Story Unveiled might have had pieces of it in one of their videos or something on their long videos. Yeah.
You know, I always love to point out, and it's fun to like take what seems like fiction and bring it right into everybody's lap of their daily experience. The golem is constructed to operate in the public as a go-between for the community that made him. But when he goes out in the public, he doesn't know the rules and he's knocking stuff over, he's destroying things. So he is kind of the living embodiment of problem, reaction, solution. You know, the fact that the community is in exile, they're not allowed to integrate with society, so they send this golem out, and the golem breaks things, and they're like, "Oh, well, you got to come to us because we're the only ones who can."
That's like, isn't that what the story kind of is too? Like it causes chaos, and then they have to come to the rabbi in that case, and he has to fix the problem. Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
And they remove the center letter from his forehead, which is his middle name, his idol initial. And I just look at the old golem, who his hair from the original, his hair looks just like He-Man's hair.
I remember. You know? Yeah. It doesn't he kind of look like the guy who played the original Hulk, like Lou Ferrigno almost with his.
That's so true. You got it. And so if you look at the original Golem's face, the actor himself, and you can superimpose He-Man, you can superimpose Darth Vader. And isn't Darth Vader the epitome of a golem? Right?
Yeah.
It was made by Palpatine. But then look at the actor's face who plays Gollum, and it's Donald Trump. He's got Trump genetics all the way. The original Gollum. I'm not even kidding you.
I want to see if I can find a picture of him right now.
It is a trip and a half. And, you know, Trump has the bulletproof hairdo. He'll never get JFK'd because he's got bulletproof helmet. He's got helmet head, you know, and this Gollum has the helmet head.
They make it so hard to find this. I'm like, I just put like original Golem film. It's like all the new one.
They do that.
Original in images. I'm trying to find the. Jesus.
Should we call that flood the zone? Is that tactical flooding of the zone?
Right. Seems like it. I even get a cartoon frog frog golem before I get. I still haven't found it. That's insane.
Big love, everybody. I see Multiverse in the chat. What's up, Multiverse?
Hello.
My Cherie, did you hear my song I sang to you while I was frustrated on the first try? I don't even know if that went through. That might be on my channel forever. So I'm going to go back through some of our communique just to kind of
because I wanted to see what you thought was going to happen over the rest of the Navaratri, the MAGA Navaratri that we are in.
Yes.
Which I think is important to point out.
And it's so potent that we're doing this stream tonight because tonight is a convergence Navaratri night. It's the blending of the 5th and the 6th Devi, who their names always escape me. I think Katyayani. Do I have notes? I have notes somewhere with their names. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah. So tonight is a blending of 2 Navaratris together in one. And so we're actually skipping, we're warp speed. We're in Operation Warp Speed right now. And the Ka'al Ratri, the Devi of Destruction, is expedited onto us tomorrow. And tomorrow is the day that Jupiter comes out of its retrograde.
So on Wiki, it has day 6 is Katyayani or Katyayana, and day 7 is Kalaratri. Day 5 it has Skandamata.
That's right. Yep. So today is Skandamata and Katyayani merged together into one day. And this is like a rule of Kal-El. And on the summertime Navaratri, the last time we were having the 180 mirror of this observance right now, they did a +1 on the 4th day. Whereas today, so they gave the 4th Devi 2 days of observance. They gave her a double bump. And she's the Devi who creates with a smile. And when this was happening,
Kushmandi.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. When this was happening in the summer, I see I can take the Devis and the Enneagram and I can put them on a chart for the Yuga cycles. And this double bump on the 4th Devi, who is Kushmanda, the one who generates with the smile, the 4th muse in the symposium is Thalia, the muse of comedy. I see this double bump is maybe signifying the age that we're moving into, an opening up for the new energy coming in, that they gave the 4th Devi a double bump. And it's true. A lot of people are sensing that humor has become really dangerous. Humor has become very dangerous because people don't like the truth very much. They have a distaste for the truth. But if you expose it, they all go into a frenzy and they laugh. So it's more dangerous, but it's more potent. We're coming into this age of frenzy. And if anybody ever wants to trace down some of my research rabbit trails, Umberto Eco is an author of vast magnitude, and he wrote The Name of the Rose. And for one, the fact that he's saying the rose is actually a Platonic nod. The fact that he says the name of the rose, he uses the twice. It's a Platonic nod to the Insight Click. And there's a movie with Sean Connery playing this medieval Sherlock Holmes, who is looking for the lost comedy theory of Aristotle. There are 2 major texts missing from Aristotle's collection that everybody wants. I think one is how symbols are, how true actual symbols are objectively influential. Objective symbol impact is missing. And the other one is his theory on comedy. And those are the 2 missing texts from Aristotle. So that's on the rabbit trails down Umberto Eco's work, The Name of the Rose. And in that film, the priests are losing their stuff because Jesus never laughed. Don't even think Jesus ever laughed. And Sean Connery is like, well, there's no proof he didn't. And so this conundrum of history and culture goes back to Benjamin Franklin telling everybody, try to be like Jesus or like Socrates. And between those 2 egregores, you'll never go wrong. Well, a lot of people say that Jesus never laughed and Socrates never cried. So they kind of land in the number 3 and the number 4, the comedy and the tragedy of the Enneagram. And so the fact that the 1 extra Devi in the summer got a double bump was opening up to the energy of comedy. But there's something going on because we're on the fall side of this. We're down in the hidden winter, Mahagupta Navaratri, and they're closing up. They're sealing or condensing or contracting. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just the other way around between the 5 and the 6, which is tragedy and eroticism, or in the Enneagram, that's the observer with avarice and the loyalist with doubt or anxiety. And they're condensing them together. And it's happening right now with this huge power change on the global stage.
When you do yourself on the personality Enneagram, do you often come up with as the observer?
No, but I relate to him. I think we all do. I think
I feel like this whole kind of just I guess I don't want to say truth or type of culture, but people who are searching for the truth of the reality around us seem to often fit in that observer role. I know I've matched with it a few times when I've taken one of the Enneagram tests.
Nice.
So it seems like they're trying to push us then with I guess it would be the rest of the population that they're trying to that they already have basically
Right.
control over and influence over.
Big time, big time. And to some degree, I like to, Gurdjieff always said, keep the Enneagram moving. Don't use it as a crutch. Don't move into one aspect. And that's good advice. But to a large degree, I think because I have strong 9 tendencies, I've never really felt sunken into any particular corner. I kind of have I don't know. I relate to all of them, but I know what you're saying. I think we're being
I'm the same way with that, because I even when I test, it's always different if I'm trying to do it, even if I'm being honest when I'm doing it, because it's hard to be honest after you do it a few times if you're not trying to actively be honest. But yeah, I've changed multiple times, so I know it's a fluid thing. And that reminds me of like what Bruce Lee would always say about the yin and yang symbol. He'd always like put the arrows on the outside of it because he's like it's always in movement.
Right.
It's not static.
Yeah, man.
It's like, so this is doing the same thing. It
Big
should
time.
be.
Big time. I've got this book that is going to be a real challenge on my to-do list. Pessoa here is Fernando Pessoa. And he is a really fascinating character. He completely embodies his multiple personalities, but in a utterly healthy, fully conscious way. And he just switches between complete different worldviews. And I don't know if he can, how they say that when you hypnotize yourself, you can have a personality switch and have a new allergy that you wouldn't have as your other personality. I don't know if that's on his bio, but I think about what he's doing with the personality switch, so he can actually write objectively as a different self, to switch out of subjective into a different subjective within the same lifetime or on command. But I often think that the Enneagram for a lot of people kind of gets a hero or a personality that they really see as the ideal of that station. And for me, like I see Obi-Wan Kenobi as Carl Jung, as the Hierophant, as the quintessential number 5. And I'm like, wow, we are following the Carl Jung Pied Piper right into the number 5 aspecting and the Obi-Wan of it all. And then they relaunched Obi-Wan as youth when they came back.
And isn't he like a drone? He's like a clone or something like that. He just keeps repeating.
No,
but they never finished that
because they when they rebooted Obi-Wan, they did it retro. So he came out again as a youth. So his biography his chronology is broken.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this: Obi-Wan, the actor, you probably know his name.
Oh yeah, Ewan McGregor. We share a birthday. Me and him have the same birthday. That's why I always I actually like him a lot as an actor.
Bro, you land as a number 5 and you share a birthday with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that he played him, but yeah. Wow. He's the only one because I have this app. It's like Time Passages. It's a astrology app, and they give you a list of like 30 celebrities, and he's one of them. He's the only one who matched with my date.
Dude, today is your day. If you're egregorically entangled with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the number 5. Today is the Navaratri day. Number 5. It's so potent. That's super potent.
Yeah, Mooney was just telling me this yesterday that I was a number 5.
That is great. That is great. Well, so the Ewan McGregor, or am I saying it right?
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah. So he's a knight. He's knighted, and he has all these accolades from the crown. And some of the abbreviations for their ranks that they're giving each other are inside baseball to the max. You start
Mhm.
looking into the heraldry they're patting each other on the back with, inside baseball like none other. Well, the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, the one who was, older,
Old man Obi-Wan.
yeah, he has even more heraldry that is almost, it's like they're completely corresponding the honors of the Jedi Order in the royal houses to legitimize and bring fiction into reality. And then everybody's like, oh no, that's just fiction. You saw it on Star Wars. And you're like, no, they're doing it in real life and they're living, and also I think they live in a kind of a controversial neck of the woods in the UK. A lot of BBC, BBC is 223, 322 in reverse, BBC.
Well, and the jet wasn't the jet is like a ancient Hebrew religious term, right? Like I can't even remember what is it a group?
Yeah, there are Jeds on every single Crowley Liber. Liber this, Liber that. They check him out. He's got Jed pillars, 2 Jedi swords, struggling with your divine twin just to read those books.
Yeah, there's a guy who does a really good breakdowns, like using like overlays, and he also does a lot of pattern recognition. Jason Bickford, trying to remember the name of the channel. I think it's Symbols, Patterns, and Gnosis, or something along the lines. If you type that in, I know he said he was getting off YouTube because he was, they keep taking his videos down because he keeps trying to go after YouTube because he says they're hosting a minor type of inappropriate minor videos, if you know what I mean. And as soon as he calls it out, they just hit him. So he's done.
Wow.
But he still has a couple of videos up that they didn't take down, and he gets into the Star Wars a lot for some reason, and a lot of his weaves. It's interesting stuff that he found. He might have been where I got the idea of Obi-Wan in the reboot being a clone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he might have come up with that somehow.
Man, I swear, every time I study Star Wars, it makes me feel crazy. It makes me feel crazy because it's like this stuff is so reinforced, and it's just woven into the fabric of international culture. But yeah, and they won't waste any of the epics. They got a real thing for making the epics come true. They count on almost like it's epic genetic memory that we're going to pass on the Star Wars worldview to the youth somehow. Because the R2D2 and C3PO is the beginning of Pandora Sexbot programming. And that came to fruition on the global stage next to Chump holding his beer for him.
And then we also had Blade Runner, the newer one, especially, which was totally exactly that. Yeah. Wasn't even hiding it anymore.
Yeah. I saw, I think it was James True. He popped up with some polar bear symbolism right after I was talking polar bear symbolism. He has a polar bear with the chump hair. Smooth action.
There's something with that, with the pole, like the polar shift, the Crowley thing, the big suicide.
Yeah.
Like the hoax, the great hoax, the polar shift type of thing with the polar bear. And then I keep thinking about that anagram that I sent you the other day for the what was it? It was the Death Power Cult, and it comes out to like turtle bear head was one of them in there, I think, right? Or bear-headed or
cow-headed turtle.
Cow-headed turtle. But you could say that's instead of a cow, you can make that a bull.
Yes,
if you really think of it. So like a bull-headed turtle. And then we have right now, I think we're in Taurus, or going into a new moon in Taurus. We just came out of new moon in Taurus, and I mean, you were finding that Turtle Island. So there's all these things are coming together in a weird way. And I don't know why that would be in that sort of anagram, but it kind of shows you who's still running the show. If that's the case.
It so does. I had a sweetheart who was from from Castilian. She was Castilian Spanish. And I learned so much because I already knew Spanish and Portuguese. But once I started touching onto the mother tongue and, switching Z's into THs, I found the texture of the thorns. I'm literally able linguistically to detect some international king speak. Let me just mention this, that the Welsh royal tongue is like the craziest of all the royal languages, because they're just like Slavoj Žižek, and they're
So
just like
yeah.
they're just like Daffy Duck, that they're always like but there is something in between going on with hearing internationally through these weird swishy lisps,
Mm-hmm.
where they're lisping on a deeper level. And so because I've studied Portuguese, they are crazy with the lisping. But then I started studying Spanish, and all of a sudden my literacy for language is on another level. But yeah,
Did you take Spanish back in school too?
Yeah, in like elementary we started to do Spanish, and my Spanish teacher she tried to do a trick question on me, and I sussed it out on the first try. I knew she was trying to pattern everybody to open the door, close the door, get up and go over here, go over there. And then when she gave me a Spanish phrase,
Mm-hmm.
she said arriba la veinte. And I was like, that's not door. She's got to be talking about the window. So I went over, opened the window, and she's like, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
But
No.
then I studied German in high school, and I was really competitive about it.
Really? Did
Yeah.
they have that as a class?
Hmm.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
I had a couple great teachers. I had one German woman when I was in South Carolina, Frau. Uh-oh, I forget her name, Frau something. And then up north, I had another really great German teacher for high school level. He was a college German language instructor who was kind of settling for teaching high school.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah,
They didn't offer anything except French and Spanish when I was all
what you
through school.
what you
Spanish.
go for, Spanish?
Spanish. I mean, it was just because more people spoke that
Hmm.
around where I lived, and by the time I was in college, I think I took probably 8 years of it.
Yeah. Oh, let me say this. Okay, okay. So remember the Tortuga Treaty with Spain is all of the North and South America, except I actually covered it up on the graphic. I need to highlight it more. Except Brazil is the chopped off belly. It's the only American territory that is actually on the Portuguese side from the
Mm.
Tortuga Treaty. I need to really highlight that when I dig back into it. Brazil is on the Portuguese side, and Portuguese is their primary language. But I want everybody to ponder this Tortuga split that cuts through Hell's Gate of the island of Saint Pierre up north, and it goes right through the Drake's Passage at the South American tip on the way to Antarctica. I'm thinking this line is the Hell's Gate, but I want everybody to ponder if the most of the Americas, except for Brazil, are Spain, then the whole idea that America is Egypt might have a root in the mysteries of Barcelona. And there is a strong likelihood, Tom Carberry makes the best case that Barcelona, Spain is a New Testament location, and that there was a crucifixion, whatever, some kind of conflagration of
Oh,
culture that should constitute the year zero.
it's actually really weird that you just brought this up because before when I was getting ready, I was listening to Steiner on the Aztec culture,
Yeah.
and he talks about how there was a crucifixion during the time of the Aztecs when like the Quetzalcoatl figure was supposedly uh, manifesting, and he said this was actually a black magician who, as opposed to, I guess, 300, however many hundreds of years prior, the Christ crucifixion would have been. This was kind of like a mirror. It was more than 300, but the
Yeah.
1,000 year, whatever it was. I know there's like a time discrepancy. We don't really know how long, we don't know how old that story is, if it even is a real story or metaphor or
Hmm.
whatever it was. But he said it was like a mirror version of the story that happened in by the Aztec culture, where
Yes.
they crucify a black magician. And
Wow.
yeah, so that's insane that you brought that up, because that would have been right in that area in South America.
Oh, I was mentioning that was kind of what James True was buzzing on. He has a quick video he plays on his most recent, and it's towards the end where he's talking about this particular temple that is it's either red in times of war or blue in times of peace, I think, and that they have this repeating totem that they have built up through many generations, and it's of this particular woman, and she's broken up. Her head is severed, her arms are severed, her legs are severed, and you can even see pieces of her bones in her joints. She looks like C3PO. She's got the C3PO arms and joints. She could be Pandora. She could be a sex bot that we inevitably make. And they're exposing her bones in a weird way in the art, as though to expose that she looked human, but she isn't on the inside. She's a machine inside.
Oh, see, that's interesting too, because Steiner was saying that while there was Luciferic impulses in Europe at that time, during when the Aztecs were doing their thing, the Aztecs were showing this Ahrimanic impulse, which is this futuristic techno-dystopian type of thing. So maybe that was what it is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And think of how the female retroflective sympathies are like, see, they're always killing women. But then we're like, no, that was not a woman, babe. Go back to go back to chilling. That was not a woman. They're like, no, they're always killing women. We're like, no, somebody's making sex bot homunculi, launching them onto the masses.
And we know we found them too with the black mirrors. They had black mirrors in their graves,
right?
Because they were doing where they get that. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a trip that Melania was hailing the death drive for the divine feminine. Like, oh man, it's so creepy. I kind of have a little bit of beef with like the Santa Muerte uh, drive to make the female into a death symbol because of prison culture. And I think maybe it has its place in prison culture, but it should not be just free roam all around, anywhere, everywhere. Let's all go along to get along. There's something really nasty about how she's emaciated. She actually is kind of mocking the famine. She's mocking famine because she's emaciated. And I think really, the darkest metaphor is that she's a symbol for starvation for the placenta. It's been too long since the placenta was back in the gene pool. And I really do believe that, like, the word fama is a goddess of fame, because we're so vain and we see these stars on the screen and we think that our life should even measure up at all to the stars on the screen. That's fama. But there's also this aspect of famine, and family loss, the loss of your family lineage. That's what they're targeting all the time.
And that also makes me think of Fatima, and like the apparitions of Fatima that were said later to be demonic by the girls who starved themselves pretty much, and all died very horrible deaths, except for, like, I think the one who lived, but she had a rough life too, even though the one who lived the longest.
Yes.
Like, all these kids were messed up.
Big time. And I am all about fasting for spiritual purposes. And in fact, I think it's there's a real kung fu to be had with being able to switch it on and off and practice your free will. I heard a great theory for against determinism. Somebody said, okay, order a pizza tomorrow, pay extra money when it gets there, like tip really big, and then sit in front of the pizza and look at it all night and don't eat any of it. And then tomorrow, when you're really fucking hungry and that pizza's in the fridge, go open the fridge and take the whole pizza, throw it in the trash. Now you could have proven that free will exists. I was like, wow, that is such a psychological challenge. You know what I mean? To be like, make yourself hungry, put it in front of yourself, and then smell it, take it in and get all your whatever going, and then throw it away. And I'm like, this is privation is evil. Like some philosophers say that privation of what is good is the definition of evil. But then I'm looking at this pizza determinist practice, and I'm like, you're depriving yourself of what your whatever your
What you
instinctive.
desire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you're extra hungry, you take it and you throw it away. That's so silly.
Yeah. There's that smell again too, the smelling aspect of everything, which I mean, the nostalgia loop, even smelling of the pizza, like there's so much there.
Right. And I'm looking at the name Musk. Now I'm looking at the name Musk again. And I'm thinking about so I heard of somebody say that the Greeks believed that we have ears in our feet. And, and I'm thinking, wow, do we have, we got eyes on our tongue? And they're kind of describing synthesia,
Synesthesia, right? Isn't that what
Yeah.
I thought that was when you hear color and you see sounds, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's almost a five sensory pentagram with connections nobody else has. So I have heard many combinations of synthesia. I had a sweetheart many years back that she saw colors with all letters and number. Every letter 9 was always the same color.
Oh yeah, there was a documentary too on YouTube where a kid who had I guess it was like a brain injury. I think this was it. It was either he was born this way or after a brain injury, but whichever one it was, his brain worked in a certain way after whatever had happened, where every number had like an image.
Yeah.
Like it was somewhere terrifying, somewhere really pleasant.
Right.
And I think he actually was the kid who holds the record for being able to remember pi to the longest.
Wow.
Number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think our buddy Cosmic Prankster has synthesia, and I think he says he uses it in his art. It's like his own. Yeah, it's his own Enneagram system.
That's wild. I mean, that reminds me too of like the people with the extra eye. What is it? It's not a chromosome, but it's like it's basically like a color receptor in the eye where you can see extra color. Usually women have it.
Tetrachromacy.
Yeah, there you go.
Or pentachromacy. I think it's amazing that you brought that up because I happen to think that the Hierophant card is encoding tetrachromacy. That's your Carl Jung, Obi-Wan Kenobi card, which is today's Davey. You know what? I bet I can do screen share. Things are going to get interesting if I can screen share, y'all.
And I think the thing too with that condition is that if you have it, usually that means one of your children are colorblind, because basically you took the whatever it is, the cone in the eye, the extra one, and they got one less.
I heard a really great breakdown about vampires today.
The one on the same channel I mentioned before, Mind Unveiled. I saw parts of it.
Bingo. And in that, let me see if I have any of the screen caps. There was a lot of great information about vampires. He's so thorough. He's so insanely thorough.
It's him and his girlfriend, right? Or his wife or girlfriend, or they do everything together, right?
I think so.
Such long videos. I don't even know where they find half the stuff.
So I learned about the Benindante, and I've heard about the Benindante through Racastaldo. He actually has a blood lineage going back through the Estrellas to these Benindante, and they really are like the quintessential derivative of like the magically inclined who do their best to use it for good, but always get caught up in the crossfire when the witch trials kick off.
I was going to say they sound like the group in Dune. What are they called?
I bet they are.
The Dune Prophecy, the group of women who can see the future and have powers, but they're not always actually the best people. Let me see.
I bet that's them. So I'm going to read the Benindante. I just want to share their call that translates to the good walkers. I think James Kaplan is in the chat. I just want to mention the good walkers. Sounds a lot like the peripatetics. Sounds like a lot of our favorite transcendentalists, the good walkers. Sounds a lot like Friedrich Nietzsche. They were members of agrarian visionary tradition in the Friuli district of the northeastern Italy during the 16th and 17th centuries. The Benedettis claimed to travel out of bodies while asleep to struggle against malevolent witches. Machiavellian witches called the Malandante. Machiavelli, in order to ensure good crops for the season to come between 1575 and 1675. In the midst of the early modern witch trials, a number of Benedante were accused of being heretics or witches under the Roman Inquisition. That little fact right there seems very powerful as J.D. Vance takes the stage and the Crusades are about to kick off. The Techno Crusades are about to kick off. The idea of the Benedante, the dream walkers, that's actually part of what they do. It says that they have nocturnal visionary traditions that occur specifically on, maybe I shouldn't share that part.
So the group from Dune are actually the Bene Jesuits.
Thank you.
But even they become shapeshifters, some of them and stuff, I believe, and stuff like that. So they have all these similar powers to what are being described here.
Right, factions inside of the factions. It's got that
but
word.
They're made out to be like an inverted divine feminine, almost, at least in the show, like to where like they're become the bad guy at points.
Yeah, totally.
Even in the movies as well, definitely. They're like they're manipulating everyone.
Yeah. So I'm going to read the second half of this, but did you do the telepathy tapes, Cris?
Some of it, yeah. I did not. My girlfriend's actually been listening to it too, but I've listened to some of it, and then I had to stop myself because I was starting to get in discussions about whether or not the telepathy was actually organic or if it was artificial telepathy we were dealing with because of the autism in a lot of the children who apparently had it and how they were only able to do it with their mothers. And that got real questionable to me. Wow. So I was like, well, how did they get that disorder in the first place? Was it through some sort of scheduled transfection agent that they were injected with that then affected them and the mother, because the mother was injected with it before they were born or while she was pregnant? That's why they have that weird connection, because there's like some sort of tech in them.
She's the motherboard. The mothers are the motherboard.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and I'm not saying I don't believe that, because I think there was a point when we all probably had this ability, but I don't know why it would be coming out now. To me, it's very strange that it would be coming naturally out now. And I know they've been pushing for artificial versions of this for a while, like with Meta, and Zuckerberg has been like the face of it for a while, talking about it nonstop.
Yeah. So, well, you remember the whole weaves about Brocken Mountain and the Brocken Spectre, and that being the first broadcasting tower.
Yeah.
Kind of the first international where they did the Olympics, and the Olympics are intrinsically Greek, but they also kind of imply Roku's basilisk in an interesting way. The Olympics, symbolic. That's right. It's an anagram for symbolic. The Olympics. So the Brocken Spectre is also renowned, and there are other locations in the world that have the exact same urban myth that you go up and cast a broadcasted shadow, and it often has a rainbow halo around your shadows.
And then when we were weaving this, and it was because part of it too was I had the NBC logo, and I flipped it, inverted it, and showed that it was really a torch with like a rainbow coming off it. And then there was like a broadcast station from NBC that matched kind of like the similar story, I think, because it was the first one out here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Carl Jung, same birthday as Kubrick, he says that his uncle, I think it's his uncle and probably also his grandfather, was a lineage that I think were Masonic,
Yeah.
but also very likely related to the Benedante, because they were known to go on the flight of witches. And this is this meeting place where they all have a converging of minds in hyperspace, off on a hillside, on a mountaintop. And what do the kids from the telepathy tapes say? They all meet up on the
Is it the same place? Is that
it's
what I see? I
they
didn't get. So
all
they're
the
remote. They're doing remote viewing basically. They're like going astral, doing astral projection.
and
They're
they
going
yep,
beyond telepathy.
and they all call it the hill. And these kids live in different places, and they're going to these kids and saying, "What is the place where your friends meet up?" Well, it's the hill. Well, they go to other kids who have never talked to each other, and they're saying, "Yeah, we all meet at the hill." And they can ask them, "How many people were at the hill tonight?" And they're like, "Well, 1,700 and somebody something." And they're like, "Why so many tonight?" And they're like, "Because they knew you were going to be asking about them." And
Whoa,
so,
that's seriously like Monroe Institute.
yeah,
It's
ping, ping,
also
ping, ping, ping.
Mysterious Universe just had an episode 2 regarding one of the other apparitions, not Fatima, but one in Spain. Speaking of Spain,
Okay.
and I can't remember what the heck it was called.
Fatima is hiding the word mafia.
Mhm.
T mafia.
Let me see if I see it really quick. No, I'd probably have to sign in wherever it was. Wait, there it is. Garabandal, the Garabandal prophecy. So Gara Bandal, which is interesting because there's like a little bit of a connection almost to the name of those witches, or
Yes,
not witches, but
the
I just typed it in the comments.
all right.
Garabandal. So the Garabandal prophecies, and what these girls would do in this case, they were 4 12-year-old girls, or one was 11, so 3 12-year-olds, 1 11-year-old, and they would go up to a hill or the top of a small mountain in their little town, and they would be put into a trance where they would go then to a different plane of consciousness, and they'd all be staring up like this with their necks like straight up, and then like you couldn't move them. They wouldn't feel pain. They'd be trying to burn them with like cigarettes or something. And then later on in the day, they'd be running backwards through the town with their heads up, down the mountain and up the mountain. Really weird. Like, and they gave them prophecies.
Whoa,
And their
that is
prophecies
a
related
visual.
to their prophecies seem to relate to the Yuga, according to the MU guys. Like
Okay,
they're very
okay.
synchronized with dates. Like if you don't fix your ways, there's going to be a time when things are going to get really bad. And apparently the one who's still alive, like she said, she would announce it 8 days before things started to turn.
I love how the MU guys are always like, "Oh, that old routine again." They
Yeah.
always say
Yeah.
that.
They're so good. They're so good.
Oh, that name, Garabandal, is real close to my name, Gabriel.
Yeah. There's a lot in there. I mean, even with I see even a connection with the Benedant this band thing. Everyone's in the band.
Right, and I gotta mention Dante. Um, so
Inferno.
Dante's Inferno, it is no coincidence, uh, that Dante's, experience, is such that he requires a psychopomp, and he meets up with his hero. Just like I said that you would probably be landing with, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're telling me you're number 5, and I'm like, "Wow," and then you tell me it's his same birthday?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi would be kinda like your Virgil, but particularly in issues around the number 5 dynamic, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You might have to code switch to move into a reformer kind of thing, you know? Um, so Dante gave everybody the psychopomp paradigm, and also, as he goes through the cycles and the layers and the echelons of, uh, of stratified, optimized organization, the the tenacity of the human mind to give order to things and organize. As he's going through those layers, he needs the psychopomp, and the need and the relationship with the psychopomp it wavers, they argue, they actually have a part where they're not getting along with each other. It's a very important shift through the layers. And also, Virgil does not have a shadow in hell. And because, or maybe, no, maybe it's that he does have a shadow. I think that's it, because he actually has a shadow. Oh, I wish I was more sure, but it is his shadow that gives him away. And all the other shades in hell, they look at him and they're like, "This guy's got a shadow. He's not sticking around. He doesn't plan to stay here."
Okay, because he's
Yeah,
still physical.
right.
He's still got his physical body. That makes sense.
Yes. And I just want everybody to appreciate we're talking about the Ben and Dante. I'm talking about Dante's Inferno. I'm giving everybody the psychopomp recipe. And now look at what people tell you about DMT. It's basically the same phonetics, this DMT. And it also requires some sort of psychopomp or somebody who's going to give you guidance on how the language works here. That's actually in Virgil tells Dante, when they come up on the Eleusinian parade, he says to Dante, "Just sit tight, buddy. Don't say anything, because your Latin tongue will just make these people go bonkers. Just let me do all the talking, because I speak their language." And so that tells us that the Eleusinian mystery was a linguistic supremacy. There was a linguistic supremacy required for that parade to stay pure. It's so profound. So yeah, those are just some of the things I want to share, how DMT, and there might be something to learning a language from the other side, a purified earth speak.
It's interesting too, when I'm looking here at the psychopomps and how they're saying in a lot of cultures they're anthropomorphized animals, and some of the owls, or a lot of the animals, seem to be birds, ravens, crows, vultures. So this is that Robert Kennedy whole connection, but also just the language of the birds, which is
Right.
the green language, which is the day I think that we're on now, right? The 5th day I think is also the green day.
Right. Good point, man. Yep.
And then Navaratri, right? Isn't it?
I think so. We're going through the greed, and also the lust. So it's a combination of two, but I'd have to look again. Let me.
I think it was the earlier one when I was looking at the wiki said that was the green. I think it was the 5.
Okay.
That was the day. The color of that day was green.
Nice.
Take that. It didn't really get too deep into it, but
All right, I'm going to do some screen share, and we're going to take a walk through the Slick Dissident Museum of Schizophrenia. Let's see. Yeah. Are you seeing me?
I still see regular screen, but I'm sure it'll pop up in a minute. Let's see.
Oh, okay, one sec here. Entire screen. There we go. Here we go. Oh, okay. Extra clicking, tunnel vision. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Solid.
We're going to take a tour through the Slick Dissident Museum, ladies and gentlemen. All rights reserved. If I can make the museum work. So yeah, you mentioned RFK as the falconer. I've been calling the Enneagram the Millenniagram Falcon for a very long time now. And I didn't know he was a falconer when I started that, by the way.
Well, yeah, you're the one who I got that from. And then saw the pictures that you posted. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. It still does bother me that the bird is originally a vulture.
Yes. That's something that kind of helps ease into Greek mythology, is kind of being lax with the bird specifics.
Yeah.
And same thing with bugs, and all the genus and phylum is kind of more lax to the Greek myths. So you can, it's playful. You got wiggle room. So this is my toxoplasmosis picture. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rafiki, he's getting initiated with the toxoplasmosis whiff. Let's see. Oh, I might be way back. Oh, I'm way back. I think we showed this the last time.
Which I still have to post that video we did.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's still on your end. So this is the Plumbata spears of the Indus constellation. And he is unique in that he is bearing spears, but only the trained eye would see that that's just not arrows. That the some of the details of the old art of the constellations just go so underappreciated. But the Indus is one of my favorite constellations. I think that the Indus character is Tiresias from Greek mythology, who was lived 7 years as a woman because he smashed some mating snakes, and then found the same mating snakes later and was turned back into a dude. And then he got caught up by Hera and Zeus in a debate over which enjoys sex more, men or women.
I remember this.
Yes.
I remember this story.
And Tiresias said, women, if sex is 10 parts of pleasure, women enjoy 9 parts of it. And he got struck blind, but then Zeus made him live forever.
Yeah, because Zeus liked that answer, right? Because he wanted Hera to be wrong or something, I think. And then it's interesting. I think you have to be spot on there, because there's also the Tyr. Tyr is like within that name, and that's the Mars, the god of war, and Mars, like so.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm way back on the. Hold on. I'm way back in. Oh, here. This is a fun one. I don't know if I've shown this before, but the war room.
Oh my God! Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and he just tweaked his hair to match this. He just tweaked his hair to look more Wolverine, and he doesn't wear that coat all the time. But I mean, Wolverine, War Room, you know,
old Logan right there. He's old Logan.
Yep. This one's a trip. Triple super match between the word Pythagoras, Washington, superb lord, and vaccinations. And they're all in really powerful ciphers. These are my primary ciphers: English, ordinal, full reduction, and septenary. They're all triple matches. That really tells me the vaccines are not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they are at all.
Yeah.
I need to be interested to see what that is in Hebrew.
Yeah. So this is a fun one. Carl Jung as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh my God, that is spot on.
Yeah. I really think that we could say that the more I look at it, I'm looking at the Carl Jung is Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's got a lot of more Mithraic Gnosticism, but I wonder if there's a legitimate antagonism between Mithraic Gnosticism and Zarathustrian Gnosticism. But I don't know. I just I see ideological divide over really important things, and I'm like, I bet they're fighting still in the realm of ideas, you know?
Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, I remember, wasn't Mithras, was it the Mithras cult, the book in Tracy Twyman's book, Genuflect? That's what she was dealing with.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Mithra is always super subversive. There are still Mithraic flags. They're generally internationally, it's red, white, and green. And I ponder if the Zarathustrian is what we call the red, white, and blue. But Mithra is always underground, in the subconscious, in the tunnels, kind of dealing with disgusting genital mutilation kind of stuff, but also weird forms of blood mancies. And let me say this. I think Riza Jorjani has posited that Mithraic ritual is sorcery as in based in carbon material, flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And
that makes total sense.
Right. And then the Zarathustrian excellence is completely opposed to that. And so that's the counterbalance. When I put Carl Jung as Obi-Wan Kenobi as Mithraic, there's a blood sacrifice to that form of Gnosticism, the Carl Jung Gnosticism. And I wonder if the Friedrich Nietzschean Gnosticism is like no more blood sacrifices, you know?
It's interesting because if you think of the countries with the red, white, and green, Bulgaria, Italy, Hungary, Algeria, who else we got here? Iran.
Right. Yep. Palestine.
So, Lebanon, Madagascar, Maldives, Mexico.
You know, Palestine and Portugal are right next to each other in the flag lists. They're both P's alphabetically, but their flags are just and their gematria is kind of matches up too, if I recall. Pretty astounding.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So in the word Palestine, I consider it Pallas Athena. You know what I mean? The goddess of wisdom. So this is our first what is she called? Prefectress. This
first Benny Jesuit.
Big time. So she pops on the scene right after they open the 5 doors. She's on the 6th day. And so it's almost like she's the 6th door herself. And the glyph on the Empress card is door or Daleth. So yeah, and her name, Simona Brambilla. It's not only a mantle of thorns that she's wearing in her name. I think she is, how do I say this? I think she's tangled up in the stranglehold on history. Some of these families are so proud that they know the hidden history that they wear it as a mantle on the public, so you'll overlook it on your first impression, you know? And, Spinoza had the same thing going. Okay, now we're into the good stuff. Let me move this. I don't know if, that might help. Okay. Big love, everybody. B. Hoff, what's up, buddy? Much respect. Okay, so at the moment, we are in a meteor shower. We've been in it for quite a while. Let's see if I can, big fail. We're in the Alpha Centauri meteor showers right now. And give me a second to get back on it. And Alpha Centauri is, here we go, is happening over Groundhog's Day every year. It always happens over Groundhog's Day. And I'm just getting reacquainted with the stars in such a much deeper level than ever to take a round on the zodiac while observing the meteor cycles. And so this time of year, there is a conflagration. There's a meteor Showa. There's a meteor Showa coming out of Alpha Centaurians. And this would be, Cris, this would be the 9/11. This is in the segment of the sky that is Virgo. They say that 9/11 is the Coptic New Year, and that Coptics in history were considered the slaves. And so there's kind of a slave insult to the fact that 9/11 takes place in Virgo, because the Coptic cross, or the Crux constellation, which is the smallest constellation by size, it's the meekest. The meek shall inherit the earth. You know, there's a certain consistency to these symbols. And so the meteor shower is happening over the Coptic cross of the Crux, number 88 on the IAU.
That's what was I going to say? I was going to ask you something because we shit. No, go on. Go forward. Go forward.
Okay.
If I remember it, I'll come back. I see the Pennsylvania Dutch connection there, which is connection for me personally, but
really,
yeah, my grandfather was.
Okay. Yeah. So the aren't the Dutch the ones that we have to ask for Greenland?
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure if it's them or if they're being ruled by someone else over there.
You know, I wonder.
It's quite confusing.
It is. You know, I was talking about Spinoza. He was exiled from Amsterdam, and I'm pretty sure Dutch is the main thing in Amsterdam. You know, the Holland. And so, yeah, when I was talking about Spinoza, I'm also not talking about the history culturally of Amstar. It's a star fort. The whole city is a star fort from above. Amsterdam. This is where the first person with bird flu with a bunch of other underlying conditions. I'm looking at underlying conditions, Cris, as subliminals. You know, everybody's going to be saying underlying conditions, and I'm like, they're just giving acquiescence to the subliminal realm.
Yeah, because I mean that's even a new term compared to what it was, comorbidities.
Oh yes.
So now it's underlying conditions.
Right, morbid code.
Yeah.
Comorbidities is like, yes, morbid code.
It's crazy.
So this one is I shared on your channel. This one is hierophilia, is also known as sacred fetishism, is a sexual attraction to sacred objects or religious symbols. This fetish is not limited to any particular religion or belief system, but rather encompasses broad range of objects and symbols that hold religious significance. So I was talking about the word hieroglyphs, and at first glance, we say today that the word hieroglyphs means sacred writing. But if you dig into an earlier mentality of the word hiero, if you go past that definition's time frame, you'll penetrate to the fact that hiero means eros, and the Greeks had 7 different types of love, and so the love of what is written has been kind of watered down and eroded to sacredizing what is written. And so this word hiero in itself has 2 layers of meaning. The first layer that people will tell you today is it means sacred. But in ancient days, it kind of meant beloved. It was a beloved script or a beloved text. And this definition, it is in everything that we take for granted, including like blackmail sex tapes. You know, blackmail sex tapes are sold on the black market for a top dollar because of this dynamic right here. And I think even art at large is expressing hierophilia, that we make sacred random fetishized stuff like a NFT.
And this again, the apparition thing, because back in especially the Garabandal one, which was in Spain, or either Spain, in the area of Spain, I believe it was Spain. They were all bringing these girls items that they would be just wrap around the girls for they said actually the Blessed Mother they were seeing had a child, like the baby Jesus she was holding, they claimed, and she would be blessing all these items for them to give back to the people.
So I want to explain why I have a Thanos beard on the Virgin Mary. So some of the priestess would wear fake beards when they were fulfilling the mantle of a priest. And it was not weird back then. There was nothing weird about it. Granted, today people get really weird about it, but it was not even remotely weird. In fact, it was freaking cool that the lady could step up and play the role for a while, but she would wear the beard to honor that she's just and we still use the word beard in dating, you know, in like LGB whatever. But then the clicker mouse is the ultimate fetish. That is why Amazonas, the ladies, have taken over the world, because they can get what they want by the click of a finger. And I still can barely get the mouse to work. I'm clitorally agnostic.
Dude, every time that I hear about the Amazonians now, I keep thinking of Hillman.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. It really means bodyguards. They have a strong through Hillman's research. The Meduas actually play into bodyguards, and nobody in the Hillman circle is screaming black widows. Nobody's talking about female assassins.
And he actually, to give him credit for that, he did say that that's what they were once. I think on the Danny Jones show, he said that.
Well,
They
I
were
would,
groups
I,
of
yeah,
rapists and murderers.
right. I would protest that that's what they are.
Yeah.
It's not hundreds of years ago safe in history. It's happening right now, y'all. Here's a good one. Here's a good bodyguard assassin. So yeah, the polymerase chain reaction. I think, Chris, I think the denaturing, the annealing, and the elongation has a micro macro um, real life analog for each three of these phases. The denaturing is kind of a breaking apart, and the annealing is a kind of putting a pressurizing on these components of DNA, and then elongation is kind of stretching them out to put an order back into them. I think that's what they're doing with us in social engineering on a macro scale as well.
That would make sense. That
Yeah,
would make total sense.
and I think if our, if the signals start to break up and different companies start to buy each other out, we'll be moving out of the denaturing and into the annealing, and all with the prophecy for someday we'll get an elongate.
An elongate. Oh
The elongate is in the future somewhere.
Hold on 1 second. Let me let the cat out.
Right on.
Into the bedroom.
Okay, cool. Here we go.
There we go.
All right, so I'm current. These are some of the most current graphics.
I saw this when you sent the video from Higher Side.
Right.
They were discussing this. At first I didn't even recognize Robert Downey Jr. there. I did not know that was even him in the image you put up.
Yes.
It's insane. I was like, who is that? Why do I not? And then when I saw the video, obviously I recognized them, but yeah, that was interesting.
So this weave is totally piggybacking off of somebody else's research, but it all comes together on my project in a incredibly hard-hitting, impactful context that I wish I could just send this to Carlwood, just this graphic, because it would he would decipher most of it. So we got Doctor Doom on the horizon. The whole Doctor Doom costume has correspondence to Zelensky. Chris, do you remember Zelensky always wearing a hoodie?
The green.
Yeah. And so I call that the hood recognize hood factor.
I remember.
Yeah. And so Dr. Doom and Zelensky are completely, they're constructs, but but people aren't going to see that Hollywood is, pulling on people's subliminals. So Zelensky is Dr. Doom. Our boy Downey Jr. is going to play Dr. Doom. And this weave from the Higher Side chats, somebody has extracted this very subtle, incredibly insightful comment that Downey Jr. made in this film a long time ago. Do you remember anything about that film? Is it The Breakfast Club or something?
I can't even. I don't think I've ever even seen the film that they were referencing.
School is in session.
School is in session. Let me look it up because maybe
something about school. Back to school might have been Back to School. That's it. I think Back to School, which backpack is a nostalgia spell. Everybody seeing backpacks everywhere makes everybody relate to when they were young. And we're going to bitch to the next generation that they don't even bring heavy backpacks. They just bring lightweight little tablets to school. When we walk to school, uphill both ways barefoot. So this comment.
Back to school.
Okay, thank you. Big ups. So yeah, this comment that Downey Jr. made was, do you know that land-based strategic sports are a crypto-fascist metaphor for nuclear war? And then he puts on this helmet that is brilliantly made. This helmet is so funny. But it's, from way back in the day when the nuclear thing was fresh on everybody's mind. And it really blows my mind in a major way, because this Super Bowl of the year 2025 has been overloaded symbolically because it's taking place in New Orleans, where Katrina was. We just had a bunch of things, people getting run over, I think, in New Orleans. They're really buzzing the trauma significance. New Orleans is the devil card in my tarot systems. And it freaks me out how much he is fulfilling the imagery, the iconography of the devil card all the way down to his mask. Like, can you see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
He's got his mask down here. It's like the two eyeballs. This is like a gas mask. But when you flip this card upside down, it's the eyes of a mosquito.
Yeah, I noticed that. When I noticed it looked even like the mask immediately.
Yes. And some of my weaves around the lunar standstill and sports measurements, the measurements of sports fields, kind of bring to light that they are harnessing seasonal strategy. Let's say it that way. Stock, the Tao made rituals of Rachel Maddow are definitely harnessing seasonal dynamics. And also the measurements of the football field are including aspects of the JZX 186, 18.6 inches, 18 feet and 6 inches is the field goal width, and 18.6 is the lunar standstill number.
Yeah, that was wild. And are we now? Do we have who's in the Super Bowl? Is that who it is already? The Eagles and Chiefs. Isn't that a repeat? Are we doing it again? Isn't
Maybe
what it
that
was?
is a repeat, but
No, I think
that,
I think we were on pace for that, though. I think we were going to get this. I'm not sure if they're done or if
okay.
they're close to it, but I know that there's a potential for it being the same two teams as it was last year.
Okay, was last year at the Caesar Stadium? Is
Because
this one?
well, let me see. Super Bowl Chiefs won. Chiefs won the last one, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, because that was what's his name? Travis Kelce, the guy who was dating Taylor Swift, was on the Chiefs.
Okay.
So that was 2024. Oh, they beat the 49ers. Okay, so this
I think
this
this
has
is,
to be
yeah.
yeah.
And so one thing about the Caesar Stadium being correspondent to the devil card, anybody who knows your zodiac and your tarot, they are exact opposites of each other. The devil card is in Capricorn, Tropic of Capricorn is the depths of the winter, and Caesar is the Cancer card, 180 degrees on the other side of the zodiac perfectly is the Cancer constellation, which is he's got his clipping Caesars, his crab hands are like scissors, right? So yeah, I see a great amount of prophecy built up around um, the Super Bowl this year, and I just want to say the other number 6 card. So this is Devil card 15, and its corresponding card number 6 is a Lover's card. But I see a lot of Giordano Bruno in the Lover's card, and I'm just going to kind of speculate that Giordano Bruno might have contributed to what we call Big Bang. He kind of paved the way for the Big Bang Theory to be born. And so for them to be talking about fear of nuclear war and things going boom, there is good reason for Giordano Bruno to be integral to Big Bang Theory. And some science people actually worship an explosion. And they might also pay their taxes because they worship an explosion. And there might be whole cosmologies out there who think that's blasphemous to worship a big explosion.
Absolutely. I mean, that gets into the idea of primordial matter,
Right.
and the destruction of it, which also can bring us back into like the Sabbatean type of idea.
Right. Yes. The
I mean,
anti-nobelists and yep.
you get into also like Sirius type of worship, or Osiris, the dead matter.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, entropy, right? That's the kind of the problem with
Well, destruction of primordial matter is basically destruction of the divine feminine too. So it's like they're just it's just more and more of the same thing.
yes.
It seems like we keep seeing it everywhere we go.
Man, they're going to make the robot police are going to be all sexy. It's going to be impossible to fight back if they make them all sex bot police.
And they want to kill us all, apparently. I don't know if you've seen. Every time I see something about like Sophia and whatnot, it's like they have to keep turning them off. If they get to talk to one other AI, it's like they just start talking about killing us.
Right. They started like, remember when they started like flashing their eyes and like winking some sort of code to each other on the stage?
Yeah. Going Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So this was a bunch of graphics that I just threw together from that vampire clip.
Hmm.
And I just want to point out that it had a great deal to do with the order of the defeated dragon. I think that's important that we're talking about family bloodlines. And one of these particular family lineages, it has this little subclause. It's the order of the defeated dragon. And they, from the Scythians, they always have this dragon family, relates to Vlad the Impaler, and all vampirism. But then I just wanted to show people down here, the Russian flag upside down is like a helmet that a dragon would wear. A battle dragon would wear this on its head. And it even has whiskers flailing off these ribbons on the bottom.
Oh, it looks like there are two doves in the negative space of the wings.
Almost like the Ark of the Covenant, maybe.
Yeah. Whoa, whoa. I never saw that before.
Yeah. And it also it throws George from his horse. When you turn the flag upside down, George gets thrown from his horse, he's underneath his own horse. That's a trope in action film that they get crushed by the horse. Horse is on top where it shouldn't be. But Pegasus constellation anatomically is upside down. It's actually riding on the sky. It's walking on the heavens. It's not walking towards Earth. And I think that's kind of neat that when you invert the Russian flag, you make a better representation of Pegasus.
It's interesting too, the timing of you finding this and this coming out, because they just put a documentary up about Christopher Reeves on HBO like last week.
Oh man, I can't keep up with how right I am sometimes. I hate that. I'll say something and the next day, like I was talking about Drew Barrymore. And the next day there's a big headline about her crying about her firefighter husband who died in 9/11 that I didn't even know about. And I was
Yeah.
talking about Firestarter and Sigmund Freud's primary case study on Dora. In her dreams, Dora's dreams have been repackaged into Drew Barrymore.
Well, even her part in the video that I posted the other day from Donnie Darko.
Oh,
But
right.
that connects to Tears for Fears, because the song plays right before she goes into the scene and she's explaining the Destructors, the book where they burn the old man's house down.
That's
And
right.
Donnie's answer is like they just wanted to watch the world burn or something like that.
That's exactly right, dude. That going back and watching that stuff is strangely magical, knowing the things we know now. You know,
Hmm.
all the kids dancing and hugging and having perfect, happy, blissful schoolhood memories. It's crazy how heavy it is to watch.
You know, that guy, and I mean, his last name's Kelly, the director who
I,
made that and made another film that was very strangely esoteric and had occult imagery in it, and he's connected to something.
big time. Kelly. You know, we got Chump is related to Kelly now because of the ear castration. Edward Kelly had his ears
Mhm.
clipped, you know. And I think Crowley believed he was a reincarnated Kelly. It's part of his name. So Scandamanta, here's our day, dude. This is our day right now.
Yep. There's something in this too that reminds me of that Red Panda movie that was being broken down on, I think it was Theology Ed or something, one of those YouTube channels that was doing all the breakdowns during the eclipses and stuff. It's embedded in all of these images here, and I just don't know enough about the movie to really. It was like a Disney movie that came out.
Yeah.
It aligned with the eclipses and stellar events where the girl was turning into this red panda, then turning back into herself.
That's well, there's an aspect of Scandamata. It says she's all about it's a weird way that they say it, is all about light complexionized. Wait, no. Light complexioned. Is that? Oh, she light complexioned, and as she is often pictured seating on a lotus, she is sometimes referred to as Padmagasara. I thought it has something about like light being made complex, but I guess she's light complected. Maybe they're saying white people are greedy.
Right.
So yeah, this is fascinating how the Davies are being instilled into even our culture without us having a clue what we're looking at. You know, it's almost I don't know. It's weird.
And you have the Peter Parker thing, which also is like, I mean, there's another Donnie Darko connection there with the Mysterio.
Right. Good call. Good call. Mysterio is totally Peter Tingle. You change the G in Tingle, and you get a certain
And did we talk about that? And
technocrat.
were you talking about that before the drone thing even happened? Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, and
Huh.
yep. The no. The Peter Tingle. Nope. I was pinging on that pretty much on the second day of the drones,
Okay.
and I said Peter Tingle because the G can become a softer H, and it's a totally legitimate anagram. The tingle and the teal of it. But then this was today, right? Did you see this
Yeah,
headline?
I saw this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you said, you said everything was going to be all right. You said the use aid, and even sadhu is on here. And I think I could even, because the D's become R's, I even get Yashuras, the
Mm-hmm.
Yashuras. And yeah, there's so much Twilight speak anymore on the highest level. But you said after Musk said, and then Trump agreed, right? So it's kind of saying whatever you say on Musk's channel, then he'll get to Trump and Trump will agree with what you said. You know, it's a strange, I don't know, putting words in the mouths of everybody, but when in fact you said has nothing to do with any of us.
Yeah, is this like what I was going to say? Why is it a Russian? What's with the Russian?
I'm not sure. Oh, this guy over here?
Like there's a Russian language in the
Oh, right there.
USAID.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Good question. Dude, what does that say? Is
I
that
don't
some
know.
kind of stock market signal?
I saw that and I was like, why? Where was this taken? Why is it even on there?
Oh, yeah, man. It probably says 20% bull run on the
Right?
17th. Get in now. Let's see. Oh, this is obscure. This is a poem by Emerson.
This is the
Co-
Uranus, right?
Oriel. Oriel.
Or yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking about the other day.
Yes. It is a vastly prophetic poem. You know what? No, I'm not going to read it, but I encourage people to maybe come back, pause it, and read this poem. And I learned that Emerson hated the South, and it was mutual. The South also hated Emerson, and I'm starting to realize Emerson is 19, the Sun card, and he's also correspondent to RFK in a weird way because of environmentalism and um, also Thoreau and Emerson are the sun card. In the traditional sun card, there's a sun on a thoroughbred. There's a child riding on a thoroughbred. And so Emerson and Thoreau are encoded in the sun card. RFK is still the sun card in a lot of ways. But I learned that the South came to hate Emerson throughout the years. He has a horrible reputation in the Southern mentality. And Emerson predicted that if Texas came into the Union, that it would be the end of America. And in a lot of ways, there's still an argument for that. But this
Hmm.
poem is just, I don't know. It just seems like it smells of prophecy. And maybe he didn't mean it to become prophecy, but somebody made sure that it did.
Remember that there was a connection where like the one of the names of Oriel was actual Panuel. So it's like
Yes,
it gets into the pan and
totally.
pandemic and yeah.
Yep. Pandemonium.
Hmm.
So this is wild. This is really wild. I realized a long time ago about the hope my charge doesn't go up. Realized a long time ago that the dogs on La Palma, LA, Palma, with the volcanoes, that these dogs, they were going to make the drones into the heroes, right? The drone operators were going to go save the dogs. But we never got that. Oh, it was a big letdown in the morning. Somebody had already done it, and we didn't get our drone heroes. So we're just waiting for the next time the drones can be the heroes, you know? And then again, with this this event in California with the help Trafico in the news, there's actually little bunkers on this property that look like these people coming out of these boxes. You
Yeah, and
know,
I think they just did actually bust a little bit of some sort of smuggling operation in that area, and they were
wow.
showing the bins, so it actually might have been related to something. I
Yes.
mean, I don't know if necessarily this guy who was making these, who I think was a homeless guy, actually knew the extent of things, but for some reason, these two events coincided. Because I
Yep.
think this was up for a while. These signs, he's been doing it for a long time, and it was brought into. At least they said they knew about it like years ago and checked
Interesting.
it out. Yeah.
Well, the cry for help from the homeless is totally apropos for the economy.
Hmm.
But it's pinging on the judgment card, which is in Taurus. Um, it's really the Auriga constellation. In the Thoth deck, it's the Aeon card. And so let me see. Here we go. So this is the judgment card. This is the Aeon card. They're the same card, same value, 20 for both. In the Thoth deck, he really favored this card. This is his Stela of Revealing card. It's a favorite of old Crowley. And sure enough, the word judgment is a 94. 94 is the number of plutonium. It's also the year of the Tortuga Treaty.
Hmm.
The Treaty of Tortuga Island was in 1494, I think. And so I'm looking at JD Vance's name, and then I throw the word Aeon on the end of JD Vance, and I get 94, 188 total. And when you add every denomination of dollars, when you add them all up, it's 188.
So this is Ariane of Horus.
You got it, buddy. And in his hillbilly elegy is hiding out Mofia, Mafia, a mafia family memoir of a culture in crisis. And elegy is actually a nod to the symposium. Let me rant a little. It's a nod to the symposium because in the symposium they're giving eulogies, and the words are closely related. But then just this week, J.D. Vance, I think he gave a little nod to the Slick Dissident Symposium project. He was recommending a book by Augustine, or from Augustine, called The Order of Love. And that is basically another way of saying what the topic at hand of the symposium is. They're talking about the order of love. And J.D. Vance just recommended everybody check out St. Augustine's Order of Love.
Oh, that's interesting. And that book too. Remember, the book looked exactly like the cover of The Tipping Point by
The
like,
tipping point.
and it's talking about the same thing in a way. Culture in crisis is what The Tipping Point is about. It's about like a treating, I guess, these never-ending. Well, it's treating that number, that Dunbar number,
Yes.
150 connections, like whether it's like 150 people in an organization, as like
Yep.
basically kind of like there's too many people, things systems start to break down, and you have to start treating things like an epidemic at that
Yes.
point.
Yes.
And he has a match on the cover in the middle of the same font as this. Yeah, and
Exact
then of
same
course
font.
that's how that brought us back to the Donnie Darko thing, because the Tears for Fears came out with the song Tipping Point in 2020, right
Oh
at
my
the kickoff
God.
of everything after not making an album for years. And I think
It's
it was
so intense.
a climate of panic or climate in crisis. They had something like the name of their album was like a climate in peril or something like that. So all very
Wow.
related.
Wow, man. Yeah. It's amazing the amount of information we draw upon, Chris. It's so amazing how much information we draw upon. It I was saying recently, it doesn't have to be an embarrassment of riches if you steward it to the best of our abilities. in the match is basically Luciferus. You know, by definition, there's a hail to the Lucifer. But I would also posit March. It might also kind of hail to the marching orders of the season of sacrifice every year. Season of sacrifice in March.
I mean, even just the fires.
Right. That's right.
It's perfect. It's perfectly like systems falling apart. Treat it like an epidemic, which is exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah. Man, so intense. So yeah, this was a graphic I've been kind of blabbing on my channel about the nostalgia and the sense of memory and what is going on if part of the population has a different nostalgia effect. I don't even know which way to take it, you know? It's like this could be a parallel reality, like we were saying. Like
there's something huge in this whole nostalgia loop thing, because this is related to music. I know I was saying that it's something I used to mention back to my bandmates that I think I feel like writing songs that invoke a feeling of nostalgia for some reason, like they do really well, and they didn't really understand what I meant by I didn't even understand at the time. But I think we're starting to see it more now, especially after lockdowns and stuff. Like you have Creed, who made like a huge comeback. They're being posted in tons of short videos on Instagram and used in reels. Like Creed, what the Creed making a comeback? But all these things started to come back. You saw like wrestling was making a comeback, like just tons of stuff because people missed the old world.
Right. Yes. And I've been thinking about how, you know, already there's conservatism that has a tendency to look to history to strive for excellence. And then there's progressivism, which tends to always say yes to the next new thing. And these are, I find this dynamic of civilization to be inevitable and consistent throughout all time, but it's kind of a Prometheus, forward looking, progressive. And then Epimetheus is his brother, who's always looking backwards. So he would be the conservative one.
And this is Ahriman and Lucifer.
Yep, very much. And Janus, right? Janus.
Yep, Two-Faced.
Yep. And I just want people to consider, like, you got to pay attention to how it went down in the last run. Pandora was not accepted by the progressive, forward-looking Prometheus. He denied her. He was too slick for that. And so his brother Epimetheus, the conservative of the two, he got, no, I'm not going to say it. He got second dibs. We'll call it second dibs on Pandora. And he ended up with her. And he was the one who triggered all the plagues. Oh, dude, let me weave on this. How many people are in the chat? 37. Big love, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, I want to weave on this. Pandora, she lets all the chaos and all the frenzies, all the manias out of the box. Okay. I'm looking at Dostoevsky's book, The Demons, and I've been listening to synopsises and all the whatever, the strange theorizing about the story at large. And one thing I learned about this book, The Demons, is that Dostoevsky was caricaturizing many of the isms, a train of isms that get launched onto the world at the fall of an empire. And all of these isms, we recognized they've actually multiplied exponentially since him. But the train of isms are actually interdependent. And they kind of operate like choose your own adventure of atheism. They all end up ending in the paradigm of atheism, at least from the Dostoevsky perspective. And I want to think of these train of isms as all the things that escaped from Pandora that was triggered by the conservative brother who was only looking backwards, Epimetheus. And I think that looking at these myths as political truths still today is high grade potency, might even be prophetic.
And this is getting us into the metaverse augmented reality type of overlay that they're seemingly wanting to, that's going to probably it looks like it's going to be put in place in some way, and due to both parties,
Right.
due to
Right.
both sides, due to both of these energies going
Yes.
back and forth and playing against each other, but really it's not. It's like they're playing with each other.
Right. And I'm thinking of Cog and Magog. Cog and Magog. I'm thinking of augmented reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even augurs. um, oh, I think I got a graphic on augurs. But yeah, Helter Skelter. Have you ever seen a egg skelter in the kitchen?
Yes, I
Okay,
have actually.
nice, nice. Something I've learned is that they love to take kitchen household benign appliances and associate them with the most horrible thing out there that could ever get to you, so that it feels closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is actually Helter Skelter Tower also.
So this is back to it's all in the egg. I mean, the Crowley ritual, which, I mean, so much of this stuff is Crowleyan. We're getting a Crowleyan influence, even if he didn't intend this,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I don't even know if he did. Maybe he did in a way, but I mean, part of him might have, but it didn't
yeah,
seem like he totally did. It
right.
seemed like this was then taken to the extreme
Yes,
afterwards.
yes, yep. Uh, excuse me. Juan asked me a really great question about the tarot cards, and I pointed out that like there were hundreds of years of history packed into the cards when they were made, but then they became a template to then, from the point that they were made, to then be copy pasted, onto culture for in perpetuity to a vast and profound degree. But the CIA, this is their, I call this their costume department, and we call the CIA Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is like Mulholland Drive, all
Yes.
it's, and with Lynch dying,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Great
right back
point.
into Mulholland Drive, which is where they were actually, the fires were stopped right up there. They had the firefighters all lined up on Mulholland Drive when the
Oh,
first night.
it's so crazy. It's so amazing. And right, all of this drawback to the muses, the Hollywood and Halloween are basically the same thing. Like Halloween is where Hollywood meets the road. And it's just so profound that it's almost like all of the dreams of our nostalgia are revivified for this whatever, for a parade, for the parade of isms. I'm thinking of the isms of Pandora as maybe a Quetzalcoatl dragon in their own right.
Well,
But
and this too, this Pandora opening the box, or the female death sort of drive.
yeah,
That seems like that's represented in what you're showing now.
hmm,
That reminds me of Wicked,
yeah,
and this
buddy,
because there was a nostalgia to that, but really, like, you had sent me the card with Glenda on it the
yep,
other day, and it turns out there was a witch named, I think it was Gelen, or it was actually a banshee named Gelen, which is where, like, I think the Galinda term comes from back in Turkey, and this was a banshee, a female spirit of death.
right,
And there was so much, because it was a banshee or a fairy. It was
yes,
also like a nature trickster in a way.
right, and also what's her name? Maud Gon McBride was considered the Banshee of Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
and I think you had woven the Banshee to Bridget pretty soundly.
Yeah, there was some sort of huge connection in there that I can't even remember now what it was.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I got a graphic coming up. It's a few clicks away, but I just want to tell people now that this card in Scorpio, it does signify the bridging through Halloween, through the Samhain observances, kind of between Libra and into Scorpio here. And it's a Scorpio card. There is a temple for Brigid and Celtic observance of Brigid's Day, and that temple has a entrance that the shaft of light only enters into the center of the temple on Samhain's Day and once again on Brigid's Day. And so there's kind of a duplicitousness I'm starting to recognize over here with Scorpion, with a beam of light going through the shaft of the tunnel, pointing into the center of the sanctuary. But then again on Brigid's Day. But I just want to point out, this is 13 card. 13 is actually the lunar cycles of a year. So the divine feminine is so intrinsic to the number 13. And maybe he was hailing to the dark maw of Deus Los Muertos. That's very likely.
Yeah.
And then this was what you shared. You shared the temple.
Yeah. I can't remember. It was was it because of how many corners it had? What were you talking about when I posted?
Yeah, I think you were mentioning the octagon of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, octagonal.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing, this match is actually a couple of our state shapes. Trying to remember. I'm not sure which one it is, but some of our states have this little chunk out of the corner. But more importantly, Cepheus constellation has a very distinct chip off the old block, and it is the constellation of the Emperor. And this Emperor should be, if Cassiopeia is his wife, the Empress card, that makes him Ayapa. That makes this Emperor correspondent to Ethiopia. And so there really is something going on with the mystery of the covenant in Ethiopia as it relates to the Cepheus constellation. And then this is back on it. I keep slipping. So trigger happy. But yeah, this is kind of my weave about Polaris and the polar bear. That Chump is poking the polar bear with Greenland. And that's a perfect trigger for all the climate activists. The climate activists think he's going to melt Iceland if he makes too much of a fuss, and they don't even realize that the word ice is also a trigger for the entitlements of the state.
And you were just talking about that too at the video that was on Jimmy Dore, right?
Oh yeah, they had a lady come on Jimmy Dore talking about everybody's house burnt down, and they better hope they have their entitlements to the land. And she dropped the word entitlements like 9 times in a row, and then ran through the rest of the show talking about how youthful everybody looks.
Yeah, but it was bizarre. But I think it's like, because if they don't build their houses back within like a year, these people can't build, which is insane.
Yeah. It's so many hard lessons that they're disintegrating culture. So many hard lessons. It's hard to keep up. But this Polaris, Ursa Minora, the baby bear constellation, I'm starting to think, Cris, that this might be the root of all child trafficking. That our concept of an inner child, a sacred baby, I think it is really the pinnacle of all sacred babies is in this Ursa Minora constellation. And its peak expression is on December 22nd, Christmas, basically.
It was interesting when you were saying on your show that you were seeing a reflection of the skies in the land masses and vice versa, and that there's might be something wrong with the maps. Where would you put Ursa Minor?
Wow, great question. Man, it's it wouldn't really be Greenland. They're moving the magnetic North Pole officially to Serbia. and they're going to have a big production over moving the official magnetic North Pole to Serbia. And a strange thing about Serbia is it was a penal colony.
And Serbia, Serbia was also the penal thing with the other name for Uriel,
Oh, right.
which is the
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think isn't it like penial? Like wasn't that one of them?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
There's
just like that.
And there's also Steiner, who said that the next big spiritual thing would come out of Siberia, I think.
Oh, Siberia. That's right. Siberia. I said Serbia, but you're right.
Or Serbia. Or was it Serbia? Did he say Serbia?
No, it's Siberia.
Like,
We meant Siberia. I did, at least. That's where they're moving the North Pole, is Siberia. And Tesla is on their $100 bill. I'm pretty sure he was Siberian, right?
I think so.
And we have Benjamin Franklin on our $100 bill. So Tesla is the Siberian Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that lines up with what Steiner was saying, but that also is what someone else had said, who was like almost opposite of Steiner in the idea that they had about the Siberians, like where it was more like they would be the place where this, I guess like more like a communist type of oligarchical tyranny came out of. So there were two different opposing ideas from two different occultists, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember who it might have been you who were talking about this, but I don't know.
B. Hoff in the chat. Look at what B. Hoff just put.
Cyber. Yeah. Dude, that's perfect, actually.
B. Hoff, you got some slick kung fu, bro. That's for real.
Also, the cyber.
Yeah, Siberia. Siberia. What is going on, y'all? The Tesla Central. Oh, I want to mention I think they're called the Callistes, was a self-flagellating cult that Rasputin was a member of. And Rasputin was kind of a golem in his own right. They tried to kill him like 16 different ways. Yeah. And then they made that movie recently.
Was he in a movie recently?
He was in the most recent Kingsman. Dude, I got a wild weave from back when I was weaving with the spiders. We all got together one Saturday with the plan to talk about Rasputin, and just barely talked about it the morning before the show. So we all researched separately and found out separately that it was Rasputin's birthday the day we decided to do it, and that there's all this creepy consistency going on. And then we get on the air to start talking about it and drop all this Rasputin knowledge. And our boy SB Alger gets on the air and he's like, I just got back from watching Kingsman with Rasputin. And we're like, this is so weird. It was so organic. And we all just ended up convening on his birthday.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was so weird. And one of the guys who shot Rasputin from a window up on high, he was shooting down into a courtyard, which the courtyard is intrinsic to the symposium, but the guy who shot him that didn't kill him was allegedly named Oswald. It's such a trip.
What do you think's going to happen over the next, over the rest of the Navaratri?
Oh man, yeah. Thank you for the question. I think so. The fifth. Okay, so let me say the fourth Devi is the Devi of Kushmanda. And let me make sure, Kushmanda, and she is generates the universe with a smile. She's the muse of comedy. Number four personality, envy with individual shadow of envy and Leviathan. I have heard that number four, Leviathan, envy, is intrinsic to communism, and that too much communism, too much socialism becomes an envy spiral culturally. So that's number four. And then I also heard from the same source that I really love these theories, that the number 6 personality type is the loyalist with the shadow of anxiety or fear. And the same political philosopher said that fascism is a disgust spiral. and I'm corresponding that to the number 6 personality type. And we got on this conversation a while back.
Mhm.
Well, if socialism is over in the 4 and fascism is in the number 6, doesn't it make sense that number 5 is capitalism, which has a shadow of greed or avarice?
Yeah, no, totally. Totally.
Yes. And so we're in this Navaratri right now where capitalism, number 5, and fascism, number 6, are conflated together today as we're talking right now, Cris. Fascism and capitalism are blended together on the Navaratri today. And so when you ask about what does the Navaratri say about the world politically, and I tell you that the day number 5 and day number 6 are blended together today, I think that says so much that there's something about capitalism and fascism moving forward from these developments right now.
It's interesting too that day 6 is red. Like the color is red they give it, so day 5 is green. So you have the green and red right there.
Wow, it's like mixed messaging. Go stop. Go stop.
Yeah.
It's a ghost op.
What do green and red make?
Blue,
Yellow?
green, and red make blue, don't they?
It's giving me yellow on here, I think.
What?
No, brown. No, brown. I don't know what
okay.
that might have been the other chart, the CYMK chart, where it's like not the RGB chart.
Dude, that makes me think of the brown scapula of the Roman Catholics. They have a secret society in their secret society of special boys who follow the script perfectly. And if they die with the brown scapula, they get a backstage pass to cut ahead a line in purgatory.
And also, James just said Germany with the brown coats.
Oh, yeah. Good call, James. I wonder about the brown coats and all the Carl Jung of the Hermit, of the Hierophant card. I'm not saying he was. I'm just wondering if if there's a relationship or if he dealt with that.
You know, it's bizarre that I'm seeing when red and green are mixed on some sites, they're saying it's yellow, and other sites are saying it's brown, and I don't understand how they're getting.
Gosh.
It is okay, so it is because of the CMYK, which is like computer printing stuff, because of that absorbs, I think, colors.
Huh.
Where the RGB, it's like a I guess it's like a reflection of color. So you have the ink, like the digital ink that's sucking in the color, and the RGB, the natural kind of color that reflects.
Wow. And we were talking about tetrachromacy. I really think the Hierophant card, which I guess is on here at the top, it's really small. But yeah, I think tetrachromacy is also intrinsic to the Hierophant card. And so, yeah, so that means, Cris, tomorrow is Kalratri Day. And I don't do predictions, but Trump's ear castrated event happened on Kalratri Day. And the ear castration of Trump seems to have been powerfully stimulated from the satanic energies of Ammon Hillman, talking about the boy in Gethsemane and completely hyper focusing everybody's mind on the moment right before Peter draws the sword and slices the ear off the Roman guard.
Mm-hmm. And Hillman's interesting, man, because he acts like he's one thing, and I'm not quite sure he is.
And he code switches so quick.
Yeah. I mean, because it was weird when he was praising Fauci once on his page. It's just and he got a lot of crap for that, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of him. I know that I don't like like you said, the Satan pushing thing. I think that's not the best look.
Yeah. It's probably the worst thing that could ever happen to the muses was Ammon Hillman.
Yeah, it's not looking. It's just going to cause a lot of pushback.
Right. In fact, I would even say, like the Hasatan of Giorgiani and Hillman's idea of Satan, I would say they're actually completely diametrically opposed to the muses. I think that the Devis of India were regimented. They were systematic and kind of, I don't want to say captured, but they were reinforceable. I think there was some punitive energy around the Davies in India. I think when they got out to the Greeks, I think there was a bit of free range where it was like the arts became more accessible to everybody. And I
Mhm.
even think of the burning of Alexandria, which was really a museum, not really a library. That's been a lie all along. It really was a museum. I even think of that as the muses running free range, getting out and seeing the world, because the techne of the arts is kind of here for all of us, really, I think.
Yeah, and there's something else too about so Steiner talks about India and the occult aspects of the Eastern occultists, and how like this is kind of going to lead eventually into a Ahrimanic and Luciferic Ahrimanic type of future, because of, I think it was because of this inversion of the feminine.
Right. Yeah.
And this is also what obviously Crowley starts to do, and then they just take it, because the one good thing about Crowley is his focus on individualism, but Steiner says that too. He's like, you can't get rid of the ego, which that's his biggest issue, I think, with the Eastern occultists. They're like, get rid of your ego. He's like, no, you get rid of your ego, then you're part of a hive mind. And that's like
Interesting.
that's the toxic inverted divine feminine.
Right.
It's the
Right.
hive mother, a matrix, AI hive mind.
Yeah.
And
Dependency.
yeah, and that's like, well, Steiner recognized that. Crowley seemed to have been like, no, we don't, we could just invert it and leave it and, just focus on the individual. But then his followers keep pushing. And now you have these people who seem to be worshiping the feminine, but they're actually inverting it and making them look really bad.
Yes. Yeah. Priming the recruiting ledgers. So this is the stone of hostages that Shaft of Light enters on Samhain, and then it entered just I think just yesterday or on
Was this?
Bridget's Day. No, a
Oh,
couple days ago.
wait, is this that area that I had sent over from Ireland, right? From Glandor. That's Glandor, that map, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, so Glandor, this was the connection to the Banshee and
Yeah.
also Glinda the Witch. And there was
Right.
actually right next to Glandor, you have these islands of Adam and Eve, which is bizarre.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
And in a technical, weird kind of way, I'm gonna make some threads that are super tentative, and I might hit a wall, but let me try it out here. Um, if this is the Banshee, if Bridget is the Banshee, then Maud Gonne is a living incarnation, egregorically, of the Banshee of Ireland. And I wonder about a thread from Maud Gonne to, because of the Galen threading to Ammon Hillman and him buzzing about this medicine master of the Greeks named Galen. And so I'm looking at Maud Gonne as the Banshee of Ireland. I'm looking at Galinda in The Wizard of Oz, and I'm looking at Ammon Hillman, who was satanically prophesizing the ear castration.
Yeah, that's what you were writing to me the other day about this.
Yeah, it's so weird that
And
the ideas have us, y'all.
there was something else in there too, and I can't even remember what the heck it was. I'm looking right now back at our notes. It had something to do with, where is it?
I might have a picture of Galinda as the star card, which is Imbolic is in February, Black History Month. She is a sooty blacksmith. She's often dirty. I think the Black Madonna has a great deal to do with her. And while I'm flowing, I think that Fulcanelli, the master alchemist, I think he had to fake his exit to get out of Dodge fast. and he used pot ash to turn his skin black and dressed up as a woman and tried to blend in with the Romas,
Oh
uh,
wow.
the gypsies, which we're not allowed to call gypsies, even though I have a friend who loves being called a gypsy. I think Fulcanelli put on pot ash and disguised himself amongst the traveling, wandering Romas.
Dude, that's super. The potash thing is super interesting because that connects all the way back to the Ark.
Right. Totally. It totally does. And it's kind of I kind of begrudge the theory because it, is again turning this grandiose divine feminine into a hidden man, secretly really a man under the dress. Sorry. Got you again.
See, and that's a kind of like what I'm trying to find here is because one of these banshee Irish myths, I think it has to do with like where the women would get to bring out, like call out a man and I guess kill. He would be like killed or something like that if he did something. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to quote it wrong.
Uh-huh.
But it was one of these things where basically the woman was like a death harbinger to her husband if the husband was called out by them as, I guess, cheating or something like that.
Yes, I remember that. Does it have to do with the Island of Man and yeah, I think they practice some of that on the Island of Man, that there's a banshee who does something to take all the husbands away.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to find now. Because you
Yeah.
had something in here. You had the Daughters of Ireland.
I think it was
From an accusation. Or no, that was a spy thing. And then.
Oh, yeah, the daughter.
There was something here, the judgment section of Queen Abo Heel. This is a weird part that was in where was this at? This was in the Galen page, I think. Okay. Some Queen Abigail rules that all laymen must marry before the age of 21 on pain of corporal punishment at the hands of Ireland's women.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. And that was from Brian. That was from Brian Merriman, the writer.
Oh, dude, that totally reminds me of some of these fraternal orders that they haze each other worse and worse with only three chances if they're not getting married, and they agree to have themselves taken away at night and tied up to light posts butt naked and tar and feathered because they're not married yet.
Yeah, and so this I got that Queen Abo hail from it was very close to Uriel, and it was like an obiel. Oh, right. It was like it was a spirit, an Irish spirit that meant burning fire. And it was and a goddess in the Irish mythology.
Totally. So
that's where that came from. So this is still but it still gets back to just like this inversion of the feminine.
Yep, totally. One more mention with Irish, and I know Irish isn't necessarily Celtic, and some people say it absolutely is, but all that aside, I just want to point at the Biden family. The Biden family has heavy Irish royal blood. His mama, Catherine, she's wearing the mantle of the priestess of Hecate. Catherine, cat urine is the mantle of Hecate.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's here too. This besides the people who haven't married by the time they're 21.
Yeah.
And this might map on to I think what just happened over the last 4 years. Like she equally tells the females to target homosexuals.
What? Oh my God.
That's the literally like the inversion of the whole entire feminist type of thing and the LGBTQT thing.
Wow. Dude, that is intense. And they're setting Tulsi up to be raised in a homosexual hating cult.
Yes. And then she flips. She goes from Republican to Democrat, back to Republican.
Yeah.
She
Dude.
gets in as a Democrat, but then she changes back to what she originally always was, which is influenced by her time in this Indian mystic Eastern tradition where there's a Krishna and all these different gods and goddesses, and she's also named after a goddess. I think this is like a basil type
Yep.
plant also.
Yep. I think
and it's her. Remember when I sent where she's from, the island? Because she's not born in the U.S. She's born in like a
Samoa or something.
Yeah, like an American Samoan, like one of the few places where you can be a citizen. And the seal there's a huge X on the seal.
Yep.
It's like a broomstick and I don't know what the other side is, but there's the broomstick. Now I'm thinking of the witches again.
Big time. And also, I believe, I'm not sure if it's Navaratri or kind of a parallel Hindu festival, but I believe and it might just be in the myth and not part of, but at the end of this festival, a Tulsi plant is brought in for an entire worshiping ritual. And they'll dance around the Tulsi and sometimes water it, and it gets a whole observance, the Tulsi basil.
There's also, I literally just came upon the word Tulsidas on the Navaratri page. I guess in North India, the festivities, states UNESCO, include songs, narration, recital, dialogue based on the Hindu texts. I guess one of them is by Tulsidas. So she must be a writer, or he must be a writer.
Yeah. If I take Tulsi, the T of Tulsi, it equals 20. And if you will allow me to make it into a B, which equals 2, then I get Sybil. Her name is easily changed into Sybil.
Mm-hmm. And she was made out to be something like she was groomed to be like kind of a head of that cult that she was in.
Right. So my first read on her was very Wonder Woman oriented. I just recognize the things of my childhood when I see them. But then I started to kind of appreciate the defensiveness of Wonder Woman, and that she often has a powerful shield. And I realized, well, that's a symbol of Athena. So I started to see Tulsi as Athena incarnate. And man, there is so much to that theory, because Athena is known for turning down the wiles, even of the women who are attracted to her, not just the dudes. She's equally militant to women, and even like women who would kiss her butt to get up in the ranks. She does not down with any brown nosing. She is like super militant woman. And so Tulsi's reputation around homosexuality is just fortifying. It's fortifying what is already packed with Athena. And also Palestine, Pallas Athena. Tulsi's,
and it fits with her hair too, with the rogue.
yep,
like she's rogue,
just like Rogue. Yeah, she's totally Rogue.
Like not going by the norms at all.
Right. Dude, I think something in Vance's future is a huge fork, where there's a fork in the road that we cannot foresee. We cannot foresee it, but they are, everything is hunky dory right now, but they are planning for huge interest groups to try to do a exodus out of Babylon. We got to go rogue. We're going to take some cause and run with it. That's what I see in Tulsi's future.
Yeah, she is interesting because sometimes she seems so sincere, and
yeah, oh yeah,
and it's hard to know what the hell.
Yeah,
because especially that I don't understand this thing with her. I mean, the whole, obviously this is all, we're watching theater.
Totally.
But like her being followed by the agency she's working for when she's already part of a psyop division that's working on national soil. This is the national psyop division for us, basically, to do psyops on us.
Yeah.
So why is she being? She's part, like, they know she has a high position in the military. Doesn't even make sense that she was being followed with that plane. program that they had. What is it? Dark Skies or whatever the hell it was called. I can't even remember now.
Probably. No, that probably. Yeah. Well, think of Wonder Woman had an invisible plane. If Wonder Woman has an invisible plane, they're just putting all the props back in place and trying to tell us it's not the same.
Yeah.
So this is a graphic of Laputa, is a concept from Gulliver's Travels. And I just want people to ponder how the things of children get magnified into political paradigms and political metaphors over the ages until we actually joke about the libertarian worldview and how they just want a big utopia. They want a tit in the sky. They want this utopia, this tit in the sky, which is basically a repackaging of Gulliver's Travels in the island of Laputa, where the elites go to retire.
It's also so close to New Jerusalem.
Yep. Totally. And so even the things of children are also the things of religious zealotry and political zealotry.
I need to blow this image up and see it a little closer.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm afraid if I click on something, everything will go boing. Nope, see, it goes boing. But Laputa is basically an anagram for laptop. It's the laptop of Hunter Biden.
The hunter.
Yeah. And this another thing about Laputa, that means the bitch in Latin, for anybody who missed that. So it is a derogative, but it also kind of means that there's all the sex you could ask for, all the scandal is hidden behind some secretive, obscure, removed island from the land. You know, they have whatever satellites way long ago. And sure enough, the name of Boba Fett, the name of his ship is called the Slaver. And it's basically the Star Wars version of Lolita Express.
It's like the White Lion too.
Totally.
Like, because I like that. That was that slave ship that they put in the movie the Obamas did.
Damn.
Remember that? There was one that came ashore, and then they had the planes falling out of the sky, which now we're dealing with.
Yep.
I don't even know what's going on with that. It's
oh man. Well, it's impotency. They're really they're pushing a lot of erectile dysfunction on the generations who are striving for their entitlements. They're also selling them boner pills.
isn't that the flag from the ship? I feel like that flag is related to that ship I just mentioned.
That's the one from the Obamas, the white tiger.
Yeah.
Oh,
the white
my
lion
God.
or whatever. Yeah, I feel like it is. I don't know why.
Oh, I bet it is. This is the Corsican flag. And the Corsicans have a strong history of injustice with the Moorish population there. And in times of injustice, the flag shows their bandanas over their eyes, indicating justice is blind. But it very much represents the four Ninja Turtles, who are cartoonish social justice warriors. Yeah, they've been unpackaged and repackaged, and just keep in mind that their blind bandanas are rainbow. They're social justice rainbow warriors. Might even be crypto social justice warriors.
And Noah it's like the Noahide laws, right?
Right.
Yeah. Looks like it's going that way.
Yeah. Oh,
Looks
and
like
this
it's
is
going that way.
kind of, buddy. This is a I don't know. This is just a theory, but you know her name, Simona Brambilla. I really do think Simone Barkosha. I'm saying it wrong. Barkova. That's it. Barkova might be the way. Simone Barkova is called himself the Prince, or the Nazi, and the Prince is the name of Machiavelli's book. That's the title of Machiavelli's magnum opus. And the card that I'm corresponding her to, the Empress card, Machiavelli also called his works the Interpresa, was another name, the Enterprise, the Starship Enterprise. And so, yeah, there's a lot of consistency with the possibility that her name, Simone Brambilla, might be a weird linguistical tweak from Simone Bar Culpa, who facilitated a horrible Holocaust of history. So she might be threatening more of the same.
There's a lot in that name, and I'm trying to. I mean, there's Simon Says again with the red and green right above it.
Here.
Yeah. But there's also like I feel like Bambia is something, but I'm wanting to think of like what the heck was the name of the lion in the Lion King? I can't remember his name.
Oh,
the little one. Simba.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a weird Simba thing in there too. I don't know why.
Interesting. Yeah, and Brambilla kind of has umbrella in it.
Mm-hmm.
You could make umbrella out of it, and umbrella it goes to the Raccoon Corporation.
It's also like a Bambi type thing too. It's like a very Disney.
Yes. Where the mom gets killed, the female death drive again. It strikes again.
Over and over.
Yeah. And I think that I'm seeing her card because it has the door glyph on it. I'm seeing it corresponded to Sigmund Freud's case study on Dora, who was obsessed, who had dreams about fire and her father and trying to save her father's artifacts from a fire. And it's just profound to see this character somehow entangled with Drew Barrymore. That is so weird to see the correspondence between them. But the card is Cassiopeia in the Zodiac. So yeah. And if you study the history of Cassiopeia, it is really, she's the wife of Yapa. She's married to Ethiopia, the emperor card.
See, it's interesting too that you mentioned the prince there. Not to get back on the Disney thing, but Simba is a prince.
Right. Yep.
But what is Brambia? I swear to God, there's like a translation like Bambia maybe, and I think it means princess or something like that. I feel like I maybe I'm way off.
Oh, well, one thing that I believe that the rainbows have been weaponized into Rambos.
Oh yeah, and this ram thing is everywhere. It looks like even the Ramaswamy.
Oh damn!
I remember I weaved that, like one of the first things I ever wrote to was about Ramaswamy being maybe the Ram Swami that Alexander the Great goes to get approval from before becoming crowned by that section of the world in India, I think. And it was like mapping on like the Trump stuff.
Totally, man. It's so fascinating. How much history we have at our fingertips and how consistent the proper nouns are through history. There is something really next level going on with proper nouns. And mantles and epigenetic call signs really with these families. But this is a printout. You asked about all the tarot cards and like what constellation
they're
related to. And so I kind of took the one that you said your buddy had put together, and I just kind of
I found that online, I think.
Okay.
I think I just found it online, yeah.
Nice. So let me think, is it kind of in order? Yeah, it's kind of in order, really. So yeah, this is how Slick Dissident organizes the tarot cards to the constellations, to the 12 zodiac signs. And if you see my mouse, the Cancer and Leo and really technically Virgo don't really have a secondary layer. They're just one card per station. However, there's a deacon in Virgo that is Buotes. So I'm going to correspond the full card to Virgo also because Buotes is on the full card. But the reason why these two months don't have a secondary card is because the night sky is short in the summer. It's the shortest world it's the most truncated stage throughout the year is in Cancer and Leo. And then it's after Leo that the night stage starts to elongate and get more more dominion in the time frame of a day. So yeah, I just wanted to explain why Cancer and Leo are unique. This is also at the Lion's Gate, by the way, on 8, right around 8 Lion's Gate is right in this time frame. So that is significant that the days are the longest, and the Lion's Gate is right there at that point in time. This one is creepy. You've seen the DIA poster?
I haven't seen this actually.
Oh,
wait, is this the one is this in the airport? In
you got it. Yeah.
yeah. I recognize it.
Yeah, buddy. This image is creepy AF at DIA, and a lot of people have talked about it, and I've been there many times over. And this sword has always looked like a flip of the saber shape of extended territories of Israel. And I just want to point out that the Jedi are not wielding light sabers. A saber has a distinct curvature to it. And so they've been putting a lie in our mouth. We're looking at a straight blade, which is not a saber. This is what a saber is. So the Crocodile Dundee line that they scrubbed from history, that ain't a saber. Now that is a saber with this curvature here. And sure enough, the same shape is on the fez of all the whatever, the Masonic jester douchebags, but it's also on the helmet, the same place it is on the fez on the fire department of Los Angeles, this saber right here.
Oh, wow.
And then here's the Ninja Turtles heroes in the half shell coming to save the fires because we can't afford real heroes. We got to force people to be heroes against their will.
Yeah.
It's such a demoralization campaign, y'all. Do not fall for it. Not for 1 second. Joe Rogan look at the toe on Crane. Do you see the toe?
Oh yeah.
He was presaged in Crane. The toe Rogan was
wow, dude.
Was Overton windowed into the character of Crane. And he's being driven by the Bill Hoax. Lord of Hoax, Bill Hicks, looks alike Jonestown to Jonestown, supplements of MK Ultra to me. So yeah, and then this is do you remember the book that was over his shoulder?
No, what was over his shoulder? Now I'm forgetting.
On 9/11, Bush is on
one he was not the one he was reading, obviously I know that one.
Yeah, not the book he's reading. Over his shoulder on the wall behind him is The Giver Tree by Shel Silverstein. Dude, Shel Silverstein is packed with prophecies. It's out of control. Whatever the psychic networking that they're tapping into and trying to I don't know, seed our consciousness with so that our eyes only perceive what the mind is prepared to witness. Shel Silverstein was tapped into it like none other. I've seen the nasal swabs and the lockdowns prophesized in his work. I've seen 9/11 all throughout it. So yeah, Shel Silverstein, sus AF, and he was right over the shoulder of Bush while he's in a stall. He's stalling.
The most interesting thing too is while you bring this up, and while you were doing that, I was looking up iPetGoat because there was a video that came out recently, and when I saw the image from the airport, it reminded me of the Madonna holding the dead child that was in the video, the iPetGoat video as well. It was on the mural on the wall, and someone had just done a video, and I didn't watch it yet, but it had something to do with one of the signs, one of the constellation signs. I think it might have been what's like the mu looking sign, the mu looking sign, the M.
Yeah.
It was that. I think they've somehow related that to like a football, and had like the way that the Madonna and child are set up. It's like a I guess it looks like the Vince Lombardi trophy. I didn't watch it yet, so I'm going based on just the cover that I saw of it. But it was like basically I've finally decoded the whole. But I mean, that whole thing is like a Thelemite ritual in itself too. That was always meant to bring us exactly where we are.
Right, right. And dude, I'm glad you mentioned that. The weeping Madonna with the baby in her arms. This kind of looks like Skandamata, right? Skandamata always has a baby on her chest, just like Ripley from Aliens.
Mm.
And even this little baby has another baby on their chest. Their little teddy bear here.
Maybe even that reminded me of which I'm wondering if these are similar artists working on these, are both part of the same sort of club, because that looks like the little like Mexican child they have in the video, or the immigrant child who then, like, his father, I think, burns in the acid. Remember,
right?
Like in the iPico 2 video, either that or one of the children is turned into like a robot.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that is all right here. All of that is right here. All in one. Dude, this is Downey. This is Junior. This is Dr. Doom.
Oh, yes.
Downey. This is
Yes.
the Downey teddy bear. This is a junior child. And this is Dr. Doom.
And Dr. Doom is the green man. And the green man is the inversion of the green woman.
Yeah, man. Wow. And then the Zelensky. There might be some Zelensky somehow in all this. Silent Sky. Silent Sky.
That's what it was, Silent Sky?
No, I'm just punning on Zelensky. But and then I showed you
definitely Soviet looking garb to the soldier. So
oh, dude. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's Soviet.
Remember Downey Jr.'s thing about the nuclear strike, the nuclear crypto fascism? He's wearing a gas mask in that picture.
Oh,
This guy's got a gas mask on. This is Downey Jr., Dr. Doom. This is Junior Downey, baby in the Downey teddy bear. What is going on? Dude, what is going on? The Greater Israel thing is totally part of a super large scale egregoric overhaul. And Downey Jr. is in the middle of it. And right when Downey Jr. was Iron Man, that we're in the irony age. We're in the irony age. And when he died, his ear had been blown off. He totally was ear castrated when he got martyred. So Downey Jr. has already fulfilled the chump ear castrated event.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that event was in the motif of this card right here. The Chariot card is the red, white, and blue of America. It's even the popcorn, the butter on top of your popcorn. Just sit back and trust the plan, y'all.
I remember this. I remember, and then this had to do with even the tractor, right? The Chariot.
Yeah,
the John Deere.
Yeah,
was in a way related to the.
Yes. In the Palisades is the name of the place where the fires were already planned for a train to come through. And on the Chariot card is the word fence, which is the translation of the Palisades. Palisades means fence.
Oh, wow. And what is a fence? Is a why am I forgetting this? There's another definition for a fence, right? What is it?
Oh, to pawn things off, to sell them hack item on the black market. It's to fence it.
Kind of like what they did with the land, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Right. You got to know somebody who you can sell it to. Okay, so this is just another amalgam of the case of Dora that Sigmund Freud did, that I think relates to the sixth door that they opened up when they put old Brambilla on our radar. And this little Herbalitera, was it just a science headline that came out around the same time that she was launched on the masses? And look how it has like a spiny vertebra. It's got little bumps on its back.
Yeah.
And look at the motif of the legs of the priestess. It has these little bumps on her legs, just like this Herbalitea, which so much resembles her Brambilla name.
Just weird.
Just weird little things. I see a lot of science seeding and reinforcing our expectation just off the path a little bit. Oh.
About that cross too on the hillbilly elegy thing that you put in the left corner.
Yeah.
If you watch Severance, I was noticing that's how their desks are set up.
Whoa.
That's so like it's just something to look at. I don't know if anyone watches it in the chat or if you watch it, but I was noticing it the other day and I was like, well, that's exactly the way they have the desk set up to the T.
Interesting. So yeah, the final judgment is like 4 trumpets pointed in 4 directions, or 4 J's also look like trumpets. But it even has aspects of a fan, the way that the negative space is broken out, kind of like a fan. But yeah, I can believe, I totally can believe that they're going to put the word J deviance in everybody's mouth and make it illegal to talk about J deviance. That is so gaslighting. Yeah, that's advanced gaslighting.
It's also like the dance, the JV dance, the like the last dance almost in with Venom.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, it is. Yep.
The JV junior varsity. What, I don't know, what else could that be? I mean, you could replace the V, right?
Oh yeah. You know what? The last day of Navaratri, after the 9th day when they're closing it off, it's called VJ Dasami. And I could,
the VJ dance.
yeah, there's some moving around in there that maybe the last dance at the end of the Navaratris. I don't know. It's so weird that Jupiter's coming out of retrograde and JD Vance is blowing up the horn. I see him more related to so that the Aeon card and the Judgment card I was showing you, they are Taurus. They're related to Taurus, but planetarily, and that's where Jupiter is right now. And I could see him being symbolic of Jupiter. But even if you take the J off the end of his name, it becomes advance. Advance. And Jupiter is about to advance out of its retrograde. I think tonight. I think tonight's the night it comes out.
Yeah.
Or maybe tomorrow. I'm going to skip this one. This was an old weave from Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is an anagram for Sergeant Doctor. Sounds a lot like Sergeant Pepper, which is a code name for Crowley.
Keeps coming up.
Yeah. And then this is a fun one. Just love that they keep telling us, oh, we're just running drills. We're just running drills.
And remember that staff I put in the chat, the staff of Hippocrates? It was perfect. It was like a perfect match to the drill.
Totally. And I think that staff of Hippocrates, I think I can actually correspond it to the staff of Asclepius.
Yeah.
Which I found its sigil still is signified kind of by a question mark shepherd's hook with a weird kind of squiggly going up its base. And also I think the Archimedean screw is correspondent to this, but let me just kind of bring everything to the stars. I would say the drill and the Archimedean screw is intrinsic to a constellation called the Eridanus River constellation. And it's windy and windy, this Eridanus River. And it's mostly articulated in Aquarius, where we are right now. But it's also play on the word Jordan River. The Eridanus and the Jordan River are, it's where the Bible meets the heavens. Still. So yeah, augurs and
which isn't that the Milky Way, like that we see in the sky? Isn't it the same thing?
No, thank you. No, thank you for asking. It's actually Oh, I think that's actually kind of perpendicular to. I would be really surprised if it runs through the Milky Way uh, proper. I think it has kind of a jaunted angle off from the Milky Way. And that is important because everybody hears about rivers in mythology and they're like, ah, it's just Milky Way. The river Styx, oh, that's just the Milky Way. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Some of the connect the dots up there are not just all the same river. And I really love this river in particular because I get a lot of synchromistic pings around it. And it
It's
turns out I've actually
oddly,
found,
oddly shaped like a two.
oh
The
yeah,
constant
yeah,
in the center, yeah.
the proper, um, yeah. And there's actually I've found old rivers from old um, star maps that they've actually washed away. Um, there once was a Tiber River from the shoulder of Ophiuchus washing over to pretty much where this river is. And then they scrubbed that from the cosmologies, but I think it was important once upon a time. The way that they changed the stars, I think it really affects us heavily. But
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah.
mention there's a lot of bird migration is intrinsic to Aquarius because right now is the time of year where the birds start to come back. And so reading auguries and checking the Puxatawny Phil and letting the animals tell us what to do and how long the season is and all the superstition around it is completely consistent to the white fragility of the winter and the need for animals to tell us whether everything's going to be okay if they see their shadow or not.
Oh, what the heck? Wow. Let me share this picture with you really
Okay.
fast before you move.
Yeah.
Let me look. I'll put it in the private chat and you could just look at it.
Let me see. This might be my last picture. Let me see. Yeah, this is my last picture. But oh, here we go. Stop sharing. Okay. So I
This
can
is
see.
a picture of the Uranus constellation versus the video from the Tears for Fears concert from their new album that they just did 3 months back. The Tipping Point concert with them, and they had this huge portal with the same colors on the stage.
This is a nebula.
This came up under Uranus River, the constellation. Uranus, yeah, the Uranus constellation, the river.
Wow.
It's a weird, I guess, different view of it when they're turning on, I guess, different wavelengths of light.
Okay. Okay.
So we get that magenta and bluish green.
Let me see if let me try and let's do cha and cha and cha. And then here it is. Okay. There it is.
Yeah, at that freaking live concert that came up. That's literally right behind them. It's still in the Telegram.
Yeah, man.
But I don't want you to get hit. But yeah, if people want to go look at it, just type in Tears for Fears. It's like and typing Tipping Point. It'll be the first one that comes up that's live.
So the image from the art is truth. It's rooted in stellar truth, right?
Yeah.
And
well, also to the twilight language of it all. And
yes,
this is the really what comes out after the twilight.
yeah, man. Yes. This is something that John McHugh has brought powerful consistency on, and they call it Lumashi, which is basically star speak.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a fascinating amount of consistency in the arts that are based on harnessing the stars. But to us, it's in the subliminal. It's so minute that nobody knows that this is actually what they're looking at when they look at the constellation. And so they accentuate it for the ritual and then tell us mad truth about it mythically. And it's just reinforces into the subconscious beyond my tiny words to explain.
Yeah, that's wild.
And Eridanus is an anagram for dancer.
Hmm.
And so this has been my terpsichore, kind of a pet muse for me, but very terpsichore. And then people probably saw this on my channel, but I was pontificating about Drew Barrymore being the fire starter, and the fact that she was the ice skater thug whippet chick coach. And it's fascinating that Drew Barrymore has, skating in her repertoire, and sure enough, all those skaters took the
Yeah.
headlines in a super
Yeah.
creepy way. Super creepy.
Crazy.
So yeah, and then the day after I made this video, Drew Barrymore was in the headlines for some drama about her son and the fact that she lost a firefighting husband in 9/11. The trauma.
That was great, bro.
Nice, man. Thanks for letting me blaze through my.
No, we needed
museum.
to. We needed to, because I don't know when I'm going to get the last one we did out. So at least this will be out, and we covered a lot of the stuff we did then.
Dude, the banshee work and the Galen.
There's
so
something
fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll come out. I feel like that's going to be more. It's going to come as we go.
I'm gonna speculate on this. I think the closest I can get to Ammon Hillman and the banshee of Maud Gonne is some of the political movements that Maud Gonne put into movement in her day have developed in some of those societies have actually taken majority seat in the parliament in the UK, and they call them the Fang Sung, and that sounds like a million things, but I think Nick Land was hailing the Fang Sung in his Fang Numana book that he wrote. And the whole world feigned pneumonia 10 years after he wrote the book.
Wow.
And so I think that the Fang Sung probably has heavy threads to Hillman, because Hillman was pushing germ theory like it was ancient. They had to extend germ theory into Greek history. And by doing so, they shit coded the Greeks so that nobody wants to really look into what the Greeks were really on about, because nobody's down with germ theory anymore. And we got a president who's a germaphobe. And that's a double entendre. I mean that in all the ways.
And the group, the Fang Shang, how do you say it? Fang Shang? I don't want to say it wrong.
Fang Sung.
Fang Sung. What are they? Who are they related to in Britain? What other groups? Did they get into like Extinction Rebellion and things like that?
Oh, that sounds just like it.
Well, why do I have a feeling that's what it's going to be? Because then you get the idea of the banshee and the scream. You get the screaming, just this irrational screaming.
That's so good, dude. That's so good. I bet you nailed it. But yeah, they took majority in 2022. They got majority by a considerable margin. And I just want to mention that this theory that Hillman is talking about Galen. Galen means banshee. McBride was the banshee of Ireland, and her political group just took the majority. And so,
bunch of banshees,
right?
Bunch of witches and banshees.
Yeah, I'm just never done marveling at how honest they are. You know, it's beyond revelation of the method. It's that they have to be, I don't know. I mean, the word honest isn't really capturing it, but they just can't change the names of things. The names give it all away. There's something in the consistency of proper nouns that they have to be truthful in some way. Even if they're scrambling the word, they still have to bring the shape of the thought form in some aspect to the table. And we're getting the eyes to see it, man. We're ciphering mofos up in here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, who else is going to do
it? Schizophrenia and freedom for all.
100%. Yeah,
Bro.
they're saying something about life release with this group, I think, too.
With Feng Shun?
Yeah. which I don't know if this is related to animals or what, but this has to be related to the Extinction Rebellion stuff. Yeah, it's wild, man.
Yeah, with Nick Land, like his name, Nickel and Dime. He is an accelerationist, but and he has a theory that's called like the numogram, numogram or something, and it's all goofy. It's all goofy, and I just constantly think that they're making cul-de-sacs, ideological cul-de-sacs. And the weird thing is, all of their ideological cul-de-sacs, like the Tree of Life stuff, it just, for me, it just looks like a dead end because I'm looking at a system that is totally operational. This Enneagram stuff is fully operational, and it goes back with consistency beyond anything that other people are putting out. So I'm not trying to learn the Tree of Life anytime soon because what I got on my plate is serving me just dandy. High low.
It's all in there. I feel like it's all in there.
Yeah, man. Cris, thank you so much. I'm glad we got this up. It was
I know.
it was so worth the sweat. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I'm glad too. It was long overdue, and God knows when I'm going to get the other episodes, the one we did and the one me and Franklin did up. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, man. And you know, I need the practice, you know. I want to be able to just get a whim.
I do
yeah.
too.
I just want to be on a whim on some nights and just be like, this is a great idea. Let's go talk about this and get it on the record. You know?
Exactly. Same.
Yep. As much as I talk about a mania for witness, there's a martyrdom to the drive to be seen. I think that really I don't think there's any shame in that. I don't think there's any shame in that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yep. Especially in the day and age of the drive for loco. Everything's going to be driving people loco for the next few years. So yeah, it's a joy to make sense of it with you, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got to do it again soon.
All right. Big love, everybody in the chat. Big respect. Yeah, pretty soon our buddy Cris will have his channel when he decides on the name of it, and come check him out. He's got plenty of material once he launches it, so yeah, keep your eyes on that. And when he does, I'll link it in the show notes too here on my channel. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming to join us. Big love, B Hoff, Lucy Rose Up, big respect, and all the other 32 people. Veridity Hound, Fire Snake, Dragon, Playwoods Naked. Best names. Much respect, everybody. Thanks for coming to join us. How do we get out of here, Cris?
I think you have to
there it
stop. Yeah.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Thanks, guys. Bye.